Chapter 141, The Transaction Between the God of Agriculture and the Ice and Fire Dragon King. Are there any other gods who want to die? The Fire Dragon King asked, curiosity burning in his voice. The God of Agriculture shook his head. I don't know how long you've all lived, but I've long since lost track of the years. I'm content with things as they are. Watching Xiao Ze grow and eventually become a god, that's enough for me. God of Agriculture. Xiao Ze felt moved. He had already decided to let the God of Agriculture reside in his spiritual sea because he wanted a god's assistance. Over the years, the God of Agriculture had helped him in so many ways, raising agricultural sprites, teaching alchemy, solving countless cultivation problems. To Xiao Ze, the deity was like a mentor. I will definitely resurrect you. When that time comes, you can go to the God realm, find a goddess, have a child, and I'll help raise them. You brat, the God of Agriculture cursed mockingly, but there was warmth in it. It's rare to see such a good relationship between a god and a human. The Ice Dragon King could feel the sincerity between them. Gods were once humans, too, the God of Agriculture said with a sigh. You don't have divine force, so it's no wonder we couldn't sense you before. But now that you've shown yourself, what do you want? Do you wish to be resurrected? The God of Agriculture asked instead of answering. Of course, the Fire Dragon King said. We died rather ingloriously. Who would have thought our own kind would kill us? I'll make a deal, the God of Agriculture said. Speak. I can sense that the energy within your dragon souls is substantial. If enough divine force, faith, and merit accumulate in the future, you can be resurrected. You may not return as you were, but it's still possible. That's true, but we can't go back now. And besides, there's no room for us in the present God realm, the Fire Dragon King sighed. Coincidentally, Xiao Ze's spirit is ideal for gathering faith and merit. He has the potential to achieve godhood through those paths, which could make resurrecting you much easier. The two dragons looked at Xiao Ze. The God of Agriculture introduced Xiao Ze's spirit to them. The Ice Dragon King's eyes brightened. That's promising. Back then, the angel god attained godhood through the continent's faith. She was only a first-class god, but quite strong among them. If merit is added, God King status could be within reach. A God King status in the God realm was indisputably high. With the God of Agriculture's two divine positions assisting, resurrection would be feasible. Exactly. With your help, he might even gain the faith of the spirit beast races. Then he could become a God King on faith alone. The God of Agriculture added. Can you guarantee it? The Ice Dragon King asked Xiao Ze. My guarantee alone isn't worth much, but you can enter my spiritual sea and observe me directly. That should be enough, right? Xiao Ze didn't hold back. His spiritual sea truly was like a grand villa. That's no problem. The God of Agriculture nodded. Your dragon soul energies are ample, much easier to work with than the Bixiao spirit deer. You're confident, letting others into your spiritual sea. The Fire Dragon King chuckled. For a spirit master, the spiritual sea was as vital as the Dantian. The Dantian stored spirit power. The spiritual sea determined one's very essence. Damage to the Dantian could cripple cultivation, but damage to the spiritual sea could reduce one to a vegetable. I'm confident, so I'm not afraid. Besides, you wouldn't be foolish enough to attack me in front of the God of Agriculture. Xiao Ze replied coolly. Ha ha! Kid, I like your attitude. The Fire Dragon King laughed. What do you want in return? Divine rings, spirit bones, and your essence and dragon bones, the God of Agriculture said. Ho, the Fire Dragon King's laugh faded into surprise. That's a lot. You're asking for nearly everything we have. You won't be using them, the God of Agriculture said with a small smile. Giving them to Xiao Ze will hasten his godhood. All right, the Fire Dragon King agreed, but we have a request as well. Speak. We sensed faintly that our Lord came to this planet, but we don't know where. We want you to find our Lord. The Ice Dragon King said. Lord? The God of Agriculture looked puzzled. Xiao Ze realized the god hadn't picked up on the Silver Dragon King's aura. Of course, she was inside the space of the Tree of Life. Even the Asura god couldn't sense her. The God of Agriculture, without divine force, certainly couldn't. That also meant the Tree of Life's space was not within the usual planes. It was outside. Yes, the Dragon God Lord, the Ice Dragon King said. His strength is comparable to yours, but he likely isn't in full form. Very well, we agree. Xiao Ze nodded. The god of agriculture glanced at him with a slight smile. This fellow had more secrets than he appeared. Someone who boasts fearlessness yet acts boldly must hide much. You're already level 40, the god of agriculture said. I will give you my divine ring directly. You might not be able to unleash even 1% of its power now, but the ring will grow with you. Good, Xiao Ze accepted. In the Fire Dragon King's pupils, two blazing golden-red flames flickered to life. Mortal, borrow my power. A deep, majestic dragon roar boomed in Xiao Ze's mind. A beam of blazing crimson erupted from the dragon's head and pierced through Xiao Ze's chest. Ugh! Xiao Ze grunted as every muscle tightened. Crimson gold dragon scale patterns spread across his skin. His spirit manifested uncontrollably. The 3 spirit rings at his feet flared one after another. Boom! The 4th spirit ring slowly formed beneath him. The new ring was crimson like blood, its edges dancing with golden flame, and a faint dragon outline loomed within. Spirit power surged through Xiao Ze. His spirit level climbed steadily until he reached level 44. The ring's power didn't instantly flood him. His body couldn't accept too much, nor did he need it all at once. In time, the Fire Dragon King's energy would be transferred to Xiao Ze gradually, allowing him to increase his strength safely. How does it feel? The god of agriculture asked. It feels incredible, Xiao Ze breathed. A divine ring's power seems limitless. That's natural, the god of agriculture said. When I first got my ring, I felt omnipotent too. But remember, no matter how strong you become, we are still mortal. Even gods are not invulnerable. Xiao Ze nodded, taking the caution to heart. The Fire Dragon King's spirit ring is yours, the god of agriculture said. As for the spirit bones, he and I will give you dragon wings. Wait, my back already has 2 external spirit bones, Xiao Ze protested. That's not a problem. We'll transplant the spider leg bone. The rest won't be affected, the Ice Dragon King reassured him. Chapter 142, Semi-Artifact Dragon King's Scythe. Can it be done like that? Xiao Ze stared in astonishment. For divinities with such vast energy, it's nothing, the god of agriculture said. Although they lack physical bodies, their dragon souls combined with divine force and divine sense can easily create an external spirit bone. Good, Xiao Ze nodded, but then something else happened that robbed him of his composure. What was shifting other spirit bones to make room for an extra external one? In an instant, 2 streams of energy shot into the sky and plunged into Xiao Ze's body at the same time. Damn it! Give me time to react, Xiao Ze snapped, but the attack gave him no time at all. Ah! He looked up and let out a pained roar. His muscles tensed, and his skin erupted in interlaced dragon-scale patterns of ice and fire. His back bulged and his bones ground together, as if something inside was tearing to break free. With a heart-wrenching shriek, the fabric on his back burst apart and 2 enormous swellings ruptured outward. A pair of dragon wings, vast enough to blot the sky, unfurled. The left wing was ice blue, wreathed in perpetual frost. Each beat sent out a bone-chilling gale. The right wing was crimson, threaded with burning golden fire patterns. Each flap scattered sparks that hissed into white smoke. Fully spread, the frost ember wings spanned 12 meters, their tails a spectacular ice and fire bicolor. Simultaneously, Xiao Ze's 8 spider lances, drawn by the Dragon King's power, slid from his back to the outsides of his thighs. It looked strange, but the legs could serve as surprise striking weapons. The Holy Spirit spine, being partly ethereal by nature, required no adjustment. Xiao Ze named the new appendages Frost Ember Dragon Wings. Their arrival strengthened his physical body by 2 or 3/10, a dramatic improvement. They were divine bones, carrying 4 spirit abilities altogether, each potent. The wings also conferred immunity to fire and to ice, meaning that so long as an opponent's strength didn't far exceed his, most fire and ice-based damage would have no effect. These spirit bones are something else, aren't they? The Ice Dragon King asked. They feel incredible, Xiao Ze replied. Good. There are only 2 more requirements, said the Ice Dragon King. But why do you need my dragon bones? To forge a semi-divine tool for Xiao Ze, the god of agriculture answered evenly. Your dragon bones are powerful, but they've been separated from your main bodies too long. They can only be used to create semi-divine tools now. However, if Xiao Ze becomes a divinity someday, they could even be upgraded into true divine tools. How bold, taking our dragon bones to make divine tools, the Fire Dragon King said, a little wry. Still, you don't need both of these bones forever. All right, I want to see what kind of semi-divine tool our dragon bones can make. They discussed it, and Xiao Ze chose a scythe, an appropriate match with a hoe, as the god of agriculture joked. All right then, let's begin. Under a pulling force, the Ice and Fire Dragon King's bones slowly rose. Each 1,000-meter skeleton vibrated violently. The Ice Dragon King's bone radiated a dazzling blue light. Extreme cold condensed and refined it into a slender ice crystal scythe blade, wreathed in frosty mist. The Fire Dragon King's skeleton ignited in sky-burning flames. Scorching heat melted it into a crimson gold scythe shaft, dragon-scale patterns spiraling along it, and magma-like energy flowing within. The god of agriculture's divine sense wrapped around blade and handle, fusing them together with careful precision. Zheng, a clear ringing note echoed through heaven and earth. A giant scythe, flowing with ice and fire bicolors, floated in the air, 3 meters tall, compressed from 1,000-meter-long dragon bones. This was no ordinary semi-divine tool. Xiao Ze reached out and gripped the shaft. Ice and fire energy flooded into him. "This Dragon King scythe is yours," the god of agriculture declared. "Thank you." The scythe was immensely heavy, made from 2,000 meters of dragon bone, but once it recognized him as its master, Xiao Ze could wield it effortlessly. "Although it's a semi-divine tool, if you ever find the dragon graveyard, my brother and the others might give you more dragon bones," the Fire Dragon King said. At that point, she didn't finish. Finding the dragon graveyard would be even harder than finding the Lord. The graveyard was said to contain dragon soul energy, divine tools, and perhaps even other dragon kings. "You can try it out," the Ice Dragon King added. "This scythe isn't like my fertile hoe. You can use it for a long time." The fertile hoe, the god of agriculture admitted, was in poor condition. He'd used it since childhood. If it broke, he would truly grieve. The scythe, however, felt robust. Xiao Ze swung it with excitement. The ice crystal blade sliced the air, leaving a frosty trail dozens of meters long. Cold surged, instantly freezing the ground within 100 meters ahead. The second swing released a wave of sky-burning fire that vaporized the frozen earth. Just casually swinging it, and it feels like even spirit emperors couldn't withstand this power? Xiao Ze's voice trembled. He could sense the scythe's true might. "That's normal," the god of agriculture said with a smile. "Although it's a semi-divine tool, it sits at the peak tier. It was made from the dragon bones of 2 dragon kings. It's basically a prototype for a divine tool." Xiao Ze poured spirit power into the scythe. It surged to 10 meters, ice and fire light soaring. He brought it down, and extreme cold and scorching flames erupted together. Twin phantom dragons of ice and fire intertwined and charged forward. Even from where he stood, Xiao Ze felt that blow could probably kill a spirit saint, and he himself was only a spirit ancestor. This Dragon King scythe likely boosted combat strength far beyond the battle armor from the Douluo 3 era. There was a fundamental difference between human-crafted items and those made by divinities. Ice and fire were opposing attributes, yet the Ice-Fire Dragon Kings had perfectly harmonized and balanced them. The result was a dramatic power amplification, 1 + 1 becoming greater than 2. "Enough of your childlike play," the Fire Dragon King urged. Xiao Ze felt the sting of being called a child, but he could hardly argue. He was still young. "Finally, we will give you some of our energy," the Ice Dragon King continued, "but we must reserve enough to sustain our dragon souls. But be aware, because of this, the effect of this treasure land outside will vanish." Xiao Ze froze. The ice and fire yin-yang well. How could it disappear? "No problem." The god of agriculture easily read Xiao Ze's thoughts, paused, then added, "We can bring the ice and fire yin-yang well into your sea of consciousness with us. That would be perfect for helping your elves improve further." "Can we really?" Xiao Ze asked. The god of agriculture had never mentioned such a thing before. "Of course, the Ice and Fire Dragon King's power is more than enough. I don't have divine force of my own, but the Dragon King will enter your sea of consciousness with you, so the well will still work there." "Then that's settled," Xiao Ze agreed. As long as the well remained useful, that was what mattered. The ordinary spirit and immortal herbs probably couldn't be planted on his sea's farmland unless his sea of consciousness matured into a full world, but that was a distant, difficult possibility. Still, the seed of life growing in his sea felt like a foundation for such a future. For now, the immediate advantage was more than enough. The Ice and Fire Dragon King poured most of its power directly into Xiao Ze's Dantian. The Dragon King's energy is substantial, the god of agriculture said. It could easily raise your spirit rings and complete set of spirit bones to 100,000 years. Xiao Ze's heart quickened. 100,000 years for every spirit ring and bone. Unbelievable. But I recommend giving most of the energy to your elves, the god of agriculture continued. You also have crops that can raise the age limits of spirit rings and spirit bones. Okay, Xiao Ze agreed. That made sense. Still, he couldn't resist improving himself a bit first. He channeled some of the Dragon King's energy into his body. 4 spirit rings materialized at his feet. The age limits of the first 3 climbed rapidly, and soon the first 2 became 10,000-year spirit rings. The spirit bones strengthened alongside them, each enhancement making his body more robust and able to support an even higher age limit, a reinforcing cycle. There was an upper bound, however. When the energy settled, Xiao Ze's physique was roughly 50% stronger than when he had first arrived here, approaching the power of a spirit saint. His spirit rings and spirit bones reached 30,000 years. The Holy Spirit's spine and the 8 spider lances each unlocked a 3rd spirit ability. The improvement was tremendous, greater even than when he'd gained an immortal herb before. All right, the 2 of us are going in, the god of agriculture said. Okay. 2 streaks of light trailed from Xiao Ze's brow and slipped into his sea of consciousness. The 2 dragons entered with them, light and shadow, ice and flame. One of them looked around and murmured, "Oh, your sea of consciousness is fairly lively." There were rows of farmers, a handful of breeders, and even a deer grazing nearby. "A seed of life?" the other dragon exclaimed, spotting a tiny seed near the Bixiao spirit deer. The seed didn't need soil, only energy to grow. "That's right, it's a seed of life," the god of agriculture said as he returned to the sea. "You actually found the seed of the tree of life. You have extraordinary luck." The tree of life was nothing to the Ice and Fire Dragon King in its prime, but if that tree continued to grow, it could become an ancient tree of life, the true form of a life goddess, immensely powerful. This was an accident. Who would have thought Xiao Ze's girlfriend's family had a 100-year-old seed of life? Someone mused. Xiao Ze finished absorbing the lingering energies of the well and surfaced back into the world. People gathered around him instantly. "Xiao Ze!" they called. "I'm fine, really," he said. "You say you're fine, but you've been gone several days," Douluo said. He couldn't put a finger on it, but Xiao Ze seemed noticeably different somehow. Huh, Xiao Ze thought. Time felt strange. It hadn't felt long to him inside the well. "There might be a difference in the flow of time," he said aloud. "How do you feel?" Ning Rongrong asked with concern. "Don't worry, this was a massive gain," Xiao Ze replied with a small smile and explained everything without holding back. He told them about the Dragon King's energy, the spirit rings and bones, the abilities acquired, and the seed of life. "Hiss, that really is a major haul," Douluo breathed, nodding hard. 2 divine rings, a divine bone, a demigod artifact, and even the energy of a divinity. This is a windfall. If Xiao Ze can't become a divinity after this, the Ice and Fire Dragon King will be furious, Ning Rongrong added with a half-joke. Duguyan laughed. Douluo couldn't help but grin. His granddaughter's eye for talent had paid off. She had found someone with true future potential. He felt a little proud and a lot hopeful. But now the Ice and Fire yin-yang well seems less useful, Douluo lamented. The immortal herbs inside still had many years before maturity. "It's fine," Xiao Ze said. "I can transfer the well into my sea of consciousness. It won't be as convenient as before, but who knows how useful it could be over time." "You can do that?" Douluo asked, surprised. "Wasn't the sea of consciousness dangerous?" "Of course." A soft blue light drifted into view, drawing everyone's attention. A breeze rustled the blue-silver grass nearby, and a pale blue glow shimmered at the tips of its leaves. "Xiao Ze, it's the blue-silver emperor. Maybe it's recovered," Ning Rongrong whispered. If the timing hadn't been right, who knows how long it would have taken. Blue motes of light converged into a hazy shape that slowly solidified into a figure about 20 years old. She wore a flowing blue and gold gown, dignified and graceful. A faint, delicate fragrance trailed in her wake. Her skin was like polished jade, features sculpted and soft. Her azure eyes were pure and gentle, free of guile. Her cerulean hair fell like a waterfall, the tips touched by a faint golden glow. She raised her eyes and swept a gentle gaze across everyone. A faint smile lifted her lips, her voice clear as a mountain spring. "Hello, everyone." Her voice was gentle enough to warm the heart. A slight frown crossed Xiao Ze's face. There was something different about this blue-silver emperor. "Do you remember who you are?" he asked. "Wasn't I just born?" she replied, surprised. Xiao Ze understood in an instant. This blue-silver emperor was not the old Ah Yin. Ah Yin had died. Their appearances might be similar, but the consciousness before them was newly formed. Everyone exchanged looks, silently sharing the realization. Douluo, who cared little for subtleties, simply marveled at the power of a spirit beast reborn. "You have a very strong life aura," she said to Xiao Ze. "Why don't you give me a name?" Xiao Ze realized her awareness was tied to his seed of life. "All right," he said. Chapter 144. Take away the yin-yang eyes of ice and fire. Lan Xiao, Xiao Ze said. She means endless vitality. Yao corresponds to elegance. She nodded and accepted the name. "Come on, gather all the spirit herbs and medicines here." Xiao Ze was not about to leave anything behind. Even a mosquito's leg was worth keeping. He collected everything with care, planning to replant later. "Step aside. I'm taking the entire ice and fire yin-yang well with me." Everyone shuffled back, curious how he would do it. Xiao Ze's pupils constricted and a glint of emerald light flared in his eyes, the sign of the god of agriculture taking hold. Ningrongrong and Zhu King exchanged looks. They had seen this state once before, long ago. Xiao Ze's expression softened. The god of agriculture drew on the Ice-Fire Dragon King's divine force, and ice and fire power surged through him. The Dragon King's scythe materialized out of thin air, radiating a terrifying presence. Douluo swallowed hard. "That has to be a semi-divine artifact," Xiao Ze got. "It's terrifying. If it were a full divine artifact, I'd probably have a heart attack just looking at it." The scythe sliced through the air with effortless strokes. 3 brilliant arcs of light crossed and struck the valley. Boom! Under those 3 casual blows, the entire valley containing the yin-yang well was cleanly carved into a perfect square. The cut surfaces were as smooth as mirrors, completely separated. Xiao Ze clenched his hand and the well's energy converged into 2 streams of light, one blue, one red, that flowed into the spot between his brows. He grunted, and within his spiritual sea, the Ice-Fire Dragon King set the yin-yang well down nearby. The Bixiao spirit deer and Sui Hua inhaled contentedly. The energy was soothing and beneficial to them. The god of agriculture withdrew, the green light in Xiao's eyes fading. He blinked and returned to himself, looking a bit awkward at the empty ground he'd carved away, as if he'd been digging in a game. He didn't bother to fix it. It was too much trouble. "You actually took the yin-yang well back," Douluo marveled. "There's no way I could store something like that in my spiritual sea. And yet you." His voice trailed off in disbelief. "It's gone just like that." Lan Xiao was stunned. "What's the matter?" "I was going to stay a while longer. Even though I've recovered, my body's still weak," she said. "All right, come into my spiritual sea then." With the Ice-Fire Dragon King's divine force supporting him, Xiao Ze could do what would normally be impossible, safely send someone into his spiritual sea. Lan Xiao accepted and arrived inside, curious. Rich, familiar life energy pulsed through the space, and she moved toward it. "Child," the god of agriculture said to her, "that is the seed of life. If it can grow, perhaps you can merge with it." "Me?" Lan Xiao stared. "I don't think I'm qualified. The tree of life won't have consciousness when it first sprouts, so it would be easier for you to enter. It would be very good for you." The god of agriculture had already decided. To make the tree of life the world's core, it would need consciousness, a process that takes time Xiao Ze might not have. Lan Xiao was the best option. She had strong life-based abilities and a deep dependence on Xiao Ze. Even if she didn't show it, she'd been resurrected by him and had always been bound to him. The god of agriculture sensed that connection. Lan Xiao hesitated, but the god of agriculture did not force her. If she proved unsuitable, he could take on the role of the Tree of Life's consciousness himself, an intriguing possibility in its own right. After leaving that area, the group resumed searching the Sunset Forest for spirit beasts suitable for Meng Yuran and Ning Rongrong. Both had reached spirit power level 40, and by chance, Meng Yuran had just hit the same milestone. Soon they spotted a translucent crystal giant about 5 meters tall, faceted like a diamond and refracting rainbow light, a single gem embedded in its chest. "Oh, Crystal Soul Spirit Lord," Ning Rongrong said, pointing. For the 8 treasure-glazed tile pagoda, gem-type spirit beasts were ideal, though rare. If they could find one, it would be perfect. "The Crystal Soul Spirit Lord is a rare gem-type spirit beast," Xiao Ze said. "Its defense is extremely strong, and it can reflect spirit abilities." "Let me handle it. It's a good chance to test my new ability," Xiao Ze volunteered. No one objected. Though the Crystal Soul Spirit Lord hadn't reached 10,000 years, about 8 or 9,000, it was no match for Xiao Ze now. He approached slowly. The gem in the creature's chest flared crimson as it became enraged and charged, throwing a massive punch. Xiao Ze didn't dodge. He met the blow with his own fist. Bang! The collision rang in everyone's ears. Under stunned gazes, the Crystal Soul Spirit Lord was driven backward until it slammed into a giant tree. "Xiao Ze's body is getting stronger and stronger," Douluo praised. "This Spirit Lord's strength is like a 10,000-year beast's, but it was sent flying by a single punch. Incredible." Ning Rongrong's face flushed. She glanced away, scolding herself inwardly over her lingering admiration. Xiao Ze planted his foot and surged forward. From his legs, the 8 spider lances erupted. Piercing strangulation. The lances shot at the Crystal Soul Spirit Lord like a volley of spears. The creature's body fractured into prismatic facets, but the 8 spider lances, an ability of 30,000 years potency, punctured through it and like iron clasps, pulled the Spirit Lord toward Xiao Ze. Its reflective defenses were formidable, but the lances were on another level. Why did the 8 spider lances come out of his legs?" Ning Rongrong muttered, puzzled. "Who knows?" Douluo replied, watching the scene with awe. Whatever the reason, the attack powers definitely increased. Xiao Ze scattered a large number of spirit banyan seeds across the ground. The seeds sprouted into wooden thorns that tore through the Crystal Soul Spirit Lord's body. Its defenses were like paper against Xiao Ze's attack. "Rongrong, absorb your spirit ring," he said. "Coming." Ning Rongrong knew he was strong, but she hadn't expected him to finish off the Crystal Spirit Lord so quickly. His strength now was far beyond what it had been a year ago. She finished absorbing the Crystal Soul Spirit Lord's ring, an over-limit 4th ring, purple with a streak of black, and slowly took it into herself. "I can't even see through your current power anymore," Douluo said with a laugh. "Your spirit force is only at spirit ancestor level, yet your actual capability is baffling." "To be honest, I don't really understand it either," Xiao Ze admitted with an awkward chuckle. With 2 semi-divine artifacts, several powerful spirit bones and spirits, his strength was hard to gauge. He could certainly stand against a spirit emperor. A spirit saint likely wouldn't hold up against his semi-divine artifacts. It felt a little unbelievable, though compared with Lan Xuanyu, he still seemed a step behind. "Once you get back, learn how to control it," Douluo advised. "Understood. I'll still need Grandpa Dugu's help," Xiao Ze replied. The biggest tasks after returning were learning to manage his newfound power and figuring out what to do with new spirits. Now that he'd reached Spirit Ancestor and his first spirit ring had matured to 10,000 years, he had 20 spirits in total. He could add 8 more, and he had exactly 8 immortal herbs left, enough to use together. But he still needed to decide what kinds of crop spirits to take. He wasn't entirely clear on which types granted bond skills. He could make an educated guess, though. Ning Rongrong finished absorbing the 4th ring, and her spirit force jumped to level 43. Her progress was rapid. There was still a year until the Soul Master competition. With resources and elixirs, reaching Spirit King in a year was difficult but not impossible. Given her talent and Xiao Ze's alchemy, improving 5 or 6 levels was achievable. The rest might come down to luck or another spirit ring. Xiao Ze's current alchemical fusion degree was under 50%, yet even that was already far better than ordinary crops. Spirit bones could be sought at auction. As long as the bone fit, it could be upgraded. He spent half a day helping Meng Yuran obtain her fourth spirit ring as well. At the moment, her spirit force was similar to Ning Rongrong's. Another day and a half later, they returned to Heaven Dao City. Ning Rongrong lay languidly on the sofa, her top having ridden up a little to reveal her fair, soft belly and acute navel. Xiao Ze sat beside her, fingers gently rubbing her stomach. She felt the tickle, but didn't push his hand away. Juju Qing and the others smiled at the domestic sight. "I'm worn out. We haven't been home in so long. This place must be covered in dust," Du Guyan said, wiping a table and frowning at the dust on her hand. "Just clean it up," Xiao Ze said, releasing some spirits to help. They were more than willing to work. Ning Rongrong gave him a sideways look. "You're something else, making them fight and making them clean." Xiao Ze laughed awkwardly. They also needed to farm and raise livestock, after all. He felt a little like a capitalist, albeit a benevolent one, since he'd raised everyone's quality of life. Xiao Ze looked toward the entrance as he sensed a familiar aura. "What is it?" "The dean is here." Meng Shenji's presence was unmistakable. Now that Xiao Ze's strength had increased, his senses were keener. He could pick up a titled Douluo's aura more easily. Hiding spirit rings from a titled Douluo was normally very difficult. Their perception was extremely sharp. He stepped outside to find the three deans smiling at the gate: Meng Shenji, Bai Baoshan, and Ji Lin. "Three deans, why stand out here? Come in," Xiao Ze greeted. "Ha ha ha, we heard you finished your seclusion and came straight away. I didn't expect it to take so long. How are your powers? Much stronger?" Meng Shenji laughed. "It's rare for me to close myself off, but I'm already a spirit ancestor," Xiao Ze said. "A spirit ancestor. Very good." Meng Shenji's smile widened in surprise. Bai Baoshan and Jilin also hadn't expected such rapid progress. "Deans, is there something you need?" Xiao Ze asked. "Yes. Because the Soul Master competition is approaching, His Majesty plans to hold an exchange competition, inviting our Heaven Dou Royal Academy and the 5 Elemental Academies to participate," Meng Shenji explained. Xiao Ze looked surprised. "An exchange competition?" "Mainly because this year the academies in the Heaven Dou Empire are particularly strong. Our academy and the 5 Elemental Academies especially. His Majesty wants to put forward a strong showing at the Soul Master competition. It's been ages since the Heaven Dou Empire won the championship," Meng Shenji said. "I see. How will this exchange competition work?" "It'll be the same format as the Soul Master competition, team battles and individual matches." "When is it?" Meng Shenji had been hoping Xiao Ze would take part. He wouldn't force him. Xiao Ze's status made him untouchable even by the throne, and it would be disrespectful to poison Douluo and the 7 treasure glazed tile school to coerce him. Still, Meng Shenji admired Xiao Ze. His strength, talent, and even his way with girls were enviable. "It's soon, 1 month from now," Meng Shenji said. "All right, we'll participate," Xiao Ze replied. "That's excellent." Meng Shenji was pleased. He'd also noticed the marked improvement in Ning Rongrong and the others. Heaven Dou Royal Academy was on the rise, with Xiao Ze and his 6 companions, and just one more person to fill the roster. The championship was within reach, especially with 3 spirit bones up for grabs, a prize of enormous value. Chapter 146. I'm a titled Douluo. I have to be proud. A few days later, an open plain outside Heaven Dou City. "Xiao Ze, I'm not sure how strong you are now, so I'll use the power of a spirit king," Du Gubo said. "No problem." Xiao Ze had a sense that his own strength was far greater than before. "Then I won't hold back." Du Gubo clenched his fists, a smile on his face. "Yan Yan, do you think your grandpa can win?" Ning Rongrong asked. "It's pretty unlikely. Xiao Ze is only a spirit ancestor, but he can summon more than a dozen spirits. Their combined strength is definitely greater than a spirit king's, so there's no way." Du Guyan shook her head. They knew how strong Xiao Ze's spirits were. Even one-on-one, they couldn't beat them. Only Ning Rongrong's amplification made resisting possible. "Watch my first soul skill, Jade Phosphor Red Poison." Du Gubo spewed a cloud of crimson poisonous mist. The toxin paralyzed nerves and amplified pain, a very different kind of spirit ability from Yan Yanji's Jade Phosphor Red Poison, despite sharing the name. Bright Moon, a 3-meter-tall white sheep materialized in front of Xiao Ze. "Bright Moon, use Sacred Horn Cleansing Sin." Dazzling sacred light burst from Bright Moon's horns. Its epic skill could purify all control states. Douluo's poisonous mist counted as control. The purifying light washed over and dispelled the poison cloud. What a strange power, but I don't rely only on spirit skills. Before Douluo finished speaking, he vanished and reappeared in front of Xiao Ze, throwing a punch. Xiao Ze braced with both hands. Bang! The blow sent Xiao Ze skidding back several paces. As a titled Douluo's physical strength was formidable, and he had a beast spirit besides. Even without specific body training, a beast spirit user's body strengthens as their power increases. Douluo's body wasn't hugely stronger than Xiao Ze's, only on the order of 40 to 50,000 years, but that was still imposing for a titled Douluo. You talk too much, Douluo grinned. Kid, your strength is impressive. His black robe flapped as he moved like a ghost before Xiao Ze, his palm shrouded in jade phosphor poison mist, striking at Xiao Ze's chest with a poisonous claw. 8 spider lances, open. With a low shout, 8 fierce spider legs sprouted from Xiao Ze's thighs. All his attributes surged by 40%, his speed skyrocketed. In a blur, he slipped to Douluo's left and thrust the spider legs forward. The 8 spider lances, having evolved from 1,000-year to 10,000-year, also granted an extra 10% to all attribute boosts, ridiculously potent. Petty tricks. Douluo condensed a hemispherical shield of poisonous mist and blocked the 8 spider lances. Xiao Ze's spine erupted with emerald light, translucent vines shooting out, so many spirit bones. Douluo's head blurred into a serpentine phantom and he spat poisonous flames, charging the vines. Xiao Ze pulled back and summoned a forest of spirit banyan seeds, blocking the assault. Douluo's eyes flickered. He activated his Medusa Skull spirit ability. A petrifying ray swept across the forest, turning it all to stone. The stony trunks shattered and collapsed. But Xiao Ze himself was no longer where they fell. Grandpa Douluo, take this. Xiao Ze laughed as the 8 spider lances retracted into a cone. Boosted by acceleration, he slammed into Douluo like a meteor. Oh my, a sneak attack, how dishonorable! Douluo was rocketed backward. A small hole appeared in his waist. When he hit the ground, he launched 3 jade phosphor-purple poison bombs, but vines exploded them mid-air. The poison spread, shrouding Douluo. Xiao Ze tried to scan with mental force, but another powerful mental force blocked him. He sighed. His mental power was still too weak, its reach too limited. But Grandpa Douluo, you may have forgotten, I'm a summoning system soul master. Xiao Ze summoned all 11 of his remaining spirits at once. Suihua, send your illusions in and find him. 8 rice stalk illusions slipped into the poisoned fog, and within moments they vanished. Master, he's gone. He's too fast to pin down, Suihua whispered. Then Yujin, use corn meteor shower. Blast the mist with everything you've got. Yujin's spirit power surged. The sky seemed to warp. Countless flaming corn kernels appeared out of nowhere, filling the battlefield. Boom, 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 boom. The fire kernels slammed down, each exploding on contact with the ground. Scorching flames and shockwaves raged, swallowing the poisonous mist. The ground was pocked with charred craters. The plain became a sea of fire. A relentless 5-second barrage. Douluo dodged inside the mist, but the corn meteor shower's coverage was too wide. The repeated explosions forced him to retreat. Damn, this is disgusting. In the 4th second, an explosion's shockwave hurled a figure out of the mist. Douluo landed on a scorched boulder, his black robe singed through by sparks. Seeing him there, Earth Potato King curled into a ball and rolled at high speed, carving a muddy path as it slammed toward Douluo. At the same time, Manghuang charged from another direction. A phantom grimoire appeared overhead, fixing Douluo's body in place. Damn it, I can't even move. Douluo was stunned. This kid had so many tricks. One person was worth 10. With no choice, Douluo activated his Skull Spirit ability again, trying to petrify Earth Potato King and Manghuang. A fiery red figure materialized in front of Manghuang. Chilean's capsaicin crystal shield absorbed Douluo's petrifying beam and shattered, but in doing so it also canceled the petrification. As the shield burst, a ring of chili flames erupted, blasting Douluo backward several meters. The spirits then pounced, subjecting him to brutal, coordinated attacks. Ouch, Yanyanji, Grandpa Douluo is something else, huh? He's getting beaten like this and still hasn't used Spirit Emperor or Spirit Saint level power, Ningrongrong laughed. Duguyan pouted. He's just stubborn, trying to save face. If we weren't here, he probably would have used them. During the earlier fight, his eyes kept drifting toward us. He wanted us to leave. No wonder a granddaughter understands her grandpa. Dugu Bo was thinking the same thing. Damn it, why haven't Yan Yan and the others left yet? Wasn't my hint obvious enough? I'm a titled Douluo. I have dignity. Chapter 147, Liu Erlong's Letter, Culinary Master Meng Yuran. Much later, Dugubo finished his training with Xiao Ze in a miserable state. Duguyan couldn't help laughing when she saw him. Grandpa, look at you. Pathetic. You're a titled Douluo, and you can't even beat Xiao Ze. It's easy to talk when you're not the one fighting, Dugubo retorted, glaring at the dozen or so spirit sprites that kept harrying him. He's a spirit ancestor. He felt humiliated, unable to move freely, seized one moment and flung the next. He truly had no way to strike back. Duguyan fell quiet. Xiao Ze's strength was definitely growing. It made sense they were wary. Back at the villa, Xiao Ze found Jiangju waiting for him. Xiao Ze, did you need something? He asked. Xiao Ze, this is a letter from the dean. Jiangju handed him an envelope, then slipped away. Ning Rongrong and the others were staring, and the attention made her uneasy. Could Dean Liu Erlong have taken a fancy to you? Ning Rongrong asked, a hint of jealousy in her voice. You're ridiculous. Dean Liu Erlong and I are decades apart in age. How could she like me? Xiao Ze teased, pinching Ning Rongrong's nose lightly. Who knows? Some people like old cows eating tender grass, Ning Rongrong shot back. Aren't you the same? You're a few months older than me. Humph! Ning Rongrong jabbed Xiao Ze's chest like a child. He pulled her into a fond embrace and slit the envelope open. As he read, his expression shifted into one of confusion. What is it? Yilingling asked. Dean Liu Erlong wants me to accompany her to get her 8th spirit ring, Xiao Ze said. He was puzzled. What could he, a spirit ancestor, do against a beast old and powerful enough to drop an 8th ring? An 8th ring usually came from a spirit beast over 60,000 years old. He couldn't possibly defeat one on his own. Ah, Dean Liu Erlong really took a liking to you? Duguyan's curiosity was obvious. Yan Yanje, can you not be so reckless? Xiao Ze asked with an awkward mouth twitch. Ning Rongrong puffed her cheeks and bit his chin in mock anger. But getting a spirit ring is dangerous. If the person accompanying you can't be trusted, you could die. If someone bears a grudge and stabs you in the back, it's over. Dean Liu Erlong must really trust you to ask you to go with her. The girls nodded in agreement. Most families accompanied their children when they went to claim new spirit rings. Some hired escorts. There was always risk. If a spirit bone appeared, you could be finished. And treachery was not unheard of. Every year, at least 100 spirit masters died in these kinds of incidents. Between the low awakening rate and the deaths from conflict, the total number of spirit masters stayed small. Spirit Hall's records showed that, excluding very old age, at least 500 spirit masters died each year. Xiao Ze was still unsure what Liu Erlong was thinking. With her strength, getting an 8th ring shouldn't be impossible by herself, so why ask him to accompany her? I'll ask her this afternoon. I don't plan to follow her to my death, he said. You better ask properly, and even if she likes you, she'll still have to serve me tea, Ning Rongrong said proudly. Don't be a brat. Xiao Ze laughed. He didn't have feelings for Liu Erlong, only admiration. She was formidable and undeniably beautiful, but he had only met her a few times. It wasn't romantic. Enough thinking about that. Yiran made a pizza for lunch. Let's go, Ye Lingling interrupted. Ye Lingling had learned alchemy from Xiao Ze. Meng Yuran had inherited the family's cooking skills. Of the group, only Ning Rongrong showed any interest in cooking, and even she had little talent, except at desserts. For her, being able to make something edible was a triumph. Now when she wasn't cultivating, she spent most of her time in the kitchen making sweets. Xiao Ze joked that his daily sugar intake was about to explode. When Ning Rongrong couldn't finish her creations, she sent them home to Uncle Ning and the others, who were delighted. They all gathered in the living room to find a giant pizza over a meter across. Meng Yuran had spent the entire morning making it. The pizza was divided into 7 different sections, a flashy presentation, but Xiao Ze suspected it would taste good. One section held ribs from a lightning element spirit beast paired with a special kind of mushroom Meng Yuran had sourced herself. The ribs were genuine spirit beast meat, faint blue sparks dancing along them. When he bit in, Xiao Ze's tongue tingled pleasantly. The mushroom, however, was the real surprise. When its translucent cap broke, it released a clean, refreshing sensation, not unlike a spirit power replenisher. This is delicious. Ning Rongrong fed a piece to Xiao Ze, creamy pumpkin combined with slow-cooked soft bones rabbit meat. The pumpkin puree rolled across his tongue like a cloud. The rabbit, simmered for 12 hours, had fallen apart into savory sweet shreds. The strange combinations worked surprisingly well. Xiao Ze couldn't help admiring Meng Yiran's culinary imagination. The Douluo Continent had ingredients never seen on Longguo, and for someone from Longguo, it was heaven. Of the basic needs, clothing, food, housing, transportation, food was second only to shelter. If going out without clothes were an option, food would come first. Yiran, I love you. Ning Rongrong squeezed Meng Yiran's arm, leaving a smudge on her cheek from a greasy kiss. Your cooking keeps getting better. In another year, you might even outcook Xiao Ze. As long as you like it. Meng Yiran smiled. This was the life she'd come to cherish. She used to train every day, her talent unremarkable and her strength ordinary. Now she had time to cook. She advanced faster, her spirit evolved, and her power grew. Life couldn't be more comfortable. What was a little daily cooking compared to that? Chapter 148, Liu Erlong's Blacker. In the afternoon, Xiao Ze arrived at Blue Tyrant Academy and, as usual, walked to the small wooden cottage. Liu Erlong often stayed there when she had nothing to do. At first, she had come because she missed Yu Xiaogong, but she had since redecorated the place to suit herself. It was obvious she'd moved on. Little brat, you came quick, Liu Erlong said, her face flushed, sweat beading along her temples and neck. The sweat made her skin look even paler. The blush on her cheeks only added to her charm. You aren't planning to drag me into danger, are you? Xiao Ze asked suspiciously. Huh? Am I that bad? Liu Erlong snapped, annoyed. For you, a spirit saint getting your 8th spirit ring, to ask a mere spirit ancestor like me to go, isn't that basically sending me to my death? Xiao Ze blinked. I'm not asking you to do anything dangerous. I just want you to keep me company. Xiao Ze crossed his arms. Auntie, I really can't. The word hung in the air like a dropped stone. Liu Erlong's expression hardened. Auntie? Auntie! Her hands curled into fists with an audible crack. You called me auntie? She demanded, eyes blazing. Each syllable carried a sharp edge. Xiao Ze swallowed. He'd spoken too quickly and now felt the full force of her glare. Dean Liu Erlong, calm down. Please calm down. Liu Erlong's spirit power flared. Crimson heat licked out from beneath her, scorching the ground black. She blurred forward with near teleportation speed, seized Xiao Ze by the collar and growled through clenched teeth. Say that again, you little brat. Calm down. Calm down. Heh! Auntie, I can't calm down right now. In the next instant, she executed an over-the-shoulder throw, slamming him into the earth with a thunderous crash. A shallow crater formed where he hit. Before he could scramble up, a foot was planted on his chest and she loomed over him. Stinky brat, are you still going to call me auntie? Xiao Ze stayed silent, stunned. Liu Erlong happened to be wearing a dress that day. Nothing scandalous, it fell to her knees. But in his stunned position, he'd had an accidental view. He'd muttered, almost to himself, that black one. What black? The color drained from Liu Erlong's face. Her earlobes flamed scarlet, and she yanked her thigh back as if she'd been burned. Xiao Ze felt like he was courting disaster. Heh, you wouldn't be thinking of escaping, would you? Her voice turned cold. Xiao Ze clenched his teeth and held still. All right, I won't play with you anymore, Liu Erlong said suddenly, the heat in her tone giving way to an awkward shyness. It was the first time anyone had seen that place, and she'd gotten so angry she'd forgotten herself. You're just a little brat. Xiao Ze got up slowly, more curious than hurt. He hadn't expected the outwardly fierce Dean Liu Erlong to be so modest underneath. Her underwear was a plain black, not even lace. He rolled his eyes inwardly. I've noted what happened today, Liu Erlong said, composing herself. If you don't come with me, I'll tell that girl Rongrong about this. See how she looks at you then. Xiao Ze's eyes widened. She'd lured him here only to trick him. You called me here just to blackmail me? You'll die then. He tried to sound dramatic. What are you afraid of? I'll protect you. Liu Erlong thumped her chest, which trembled slightly beneath her hand. Xiao Ze's mouth twitched. I'll believe you when pigs fly. So, are we really going to the Stardew Great Forest? Xiao Ze asked. That's right. I need a spirit ring around 70,000 years old, and the Stardew Great Forest has more of those, Liu Erlong said. Can you take on a 70,000-year-old spirit beast? Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I'll bring some special tools to deal with it. Liu Erlong sounded confident. Poison? Exactly. Seems like you know something about it. Don't talk nonsense. I've never used poison. Xiao Ze shook his head. He never had. Liu Erlong didn't look convinced, but she shrugged. Poison was convenient. What kind of poison? Can it even work on a 70,000-year-old spirit beast? Xiao Ze pressed. Why are you asking so many questions? Liu Erlong flicked a strand of hair, annoyed. It concerns my life. Xiao Ze snapped. Don't worry. The poison's very effective. I bought it from a poisoning specialist. He said it can handle spirit beasts above 50,000 years. Liu Erlong waved him off. Xiao Ze felt uneasy. Still, with his 2 demigod artifacts and the power of the Ice-Fire Dragon King, death wasn't likely. All right, try to be a little reliable. Humph. Liu Erlong crossed her arms. Stinky brat, I'm the reliable one here. I'll go tell the others, she added. We leave tomorrow morning. Liu Erlong watched Xiao Ze walk away. She stared at her own palm, feeling the residual warmth from where she'd struck him, but something in her chest felt unexpectedly hollow. Stinky brat, she murmured under her breath. The usual sharpness in her voice had softened. There was a faint loneliness in it. Once she had clung, in some way, to Yu Xiaogang, but he was no longer in her life. Blue Tyrant Academy was all she had left, and there was no one she could truly talk to. Students and teachers alike feared her. She had no real friends in the academy, no one to bicker with. It was unbearably lonely. Then Xiao Ze had arrived, and everything changed. His presence made her cheer up. At least she could bicker with him. Why had she picked his name from the list of people she'd written? She'd listed many names, mostly spirit emperors and spirit saints, acquaintances at best. She didn't know why she'd drawn Xiao Ze's name. Gratitude for freeing her from Yu Xiaogang's shadow, perhaps. Admiration for his strength, talent, and emotional resilience, unlike her own. Or maybe some other reason she couldn't name. Whatever the cause, his name came up, and that was fate. Come with me to get a spirit ring, Ray, she had thought, half pleading, half commanding. But she had to prepare properly. She couldn't let anything happen to him. She paused a moment, made a soft sound like a throat clear, and then turned to walk deeper into the academy. Her figure was tall and upright, but there was an inexplicable loneliness about her. Back home, Xiao Ze recounted the whole story about going with Liu Erlong to get a spirit ring. The others listened and were unsurprisingly displeased. Chapter 149, Treasure Map Location. Xiao Ze, are you out of your mind? You're seriously going along with her? Ning Rongrong's voice cut through the room, making Xiao Ze start. He had never seen her so angry. He understood why. She was scared for him. That's right, Xiao Ze. You have no connection to Liu Erlong. You don't have to go. Du Guyan folded her arms and nodded emphatically. The other 3 were silent, but their expressions made it clear they didn't want him to go either. A 70,000-year-old spirit beast, if anything went wrong, he could really die. No, I have to go this time. Xiao Ze shook his head. Are you crazy? Meng Yuan blurted. The others exchanged confused looks. Xiao Ze's insistence made them worry he'd lost his senses. Xiao Ze, you haven't fallen for Liu Erlong, have you? Ning Rongrong asked, suspicion ringing in her voice. Xiao Ze didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Rongrong, come on. What would make you think that? How could she and I be together? Even if I liked her, how could she possibly like me back? She's not that kind of person. Then why are you planning to risk your life? I won't get into trouble. I have the Ice-Fire Dragon King's power now. As long as it's not a spirit beast over 100,000 years old, I'll be fine. Besides, I'm going for something important. Earlier, in his spirit sea, Lan Xiao had told him she recognized the place marked on his treasure map. That was huge. He'd found the map as a child but never knew where it led, so he'd never searched. Now that he had a lead, he had to go. Who knew what might be there? A spirit master with a storage spirit tool would not be weak, otherwise someone would have snatched it long ago. Xiao Ze was also just plain curious. Exactly what is it? If you don't explain, I'm not letting you go. Ning Rongrong said firmly. When it came to Xiao Ze's safety, she wasn't gentle. They weren't married yet. Nothing could happen to him. Xiao Ze knew he had to show them, so he took out the treasure map. It's a treasure map. I'm going to find the treasure. A treasure map. Ning Rongrong peered at the parchment on the table. I found it when I was a child, along with my spirit storage tool. Lan Xiao says she recognizes the location. I'm planning to go to the Stardew Great Forest to look for it. Xiao Ze explained. The girls studied the map. It was simple and cryptic. None of them recognized the markings. This is dangerous. Let us come with you, Ning Rongrong insisted. Absolutely not. You know my strength. Even Grandpa's sword at the same level wouldn't be a sure match. I at least have the strength of a spirit emperor now. I might not be an opponent for a 70,000-year-old spirit beast, but I won't be helpless. If you come, I'll have to protect you. Xiao Ze's tone left no room for argument. Hearing the truth, the girls' anger cooled. Their spirits had grown stronger, but they weren't combatants who could handle threats across higher levels. And there would be too many of them, too risky. Then what if I ask Grandpa Sword to accompany you? Ning Rongrong's worry persisted. No. Besides, this map came from a corpse. I don't even know if there's anything there. If it's nothing, it'd be a waste of Grandpa Sword's time. I'm just going to scout. If there's treasure, I'll come back for you. Xiao Ze tried to reassure her. Fine, but be careful. Ning Rongrong knew he would go regardless. Of course. Xiao Ze nodded. He wasn't ready to die yet. Ning Rongrong's stream of warnings went on, and he couldn't help but smile. Being cared for felt good. God of Agriculture, do you think anything will happen to me this time? He asked his spirits. I can't prophesy. Besides, with the three of us around, how could anything happen to you? We might as well all die together, the God of Agriculture grumbled. Exactly. The three of us are at least God Kings. Dead or not, we're not useless. The Fire Dragon King's voice sounded a little embarrassed, as if he were resigning himself to danger. Xiao Ze relaxed. When he came back, he'd have to demand compensation from Liu Erlong for dragging him into this. That woman had tried to bully him. He should have called her out sooner. Besides, the map wasn't pointing to the core regions or the chaotic zones. It marked a relatively safe area. Normally, he wouldn't even go into the mixed zone, but because of Liu Erlong's spirit beast, he had no choice. Xiao Ze inwardly complained about how things had turned out, but he also admitted this could be a useful connection. After all, Liu Erlong would one day be a spirit Douluo. If something happened in the future, he could always give her a call. And if she refused to help, well, he wouldn't hesitate to use whatever leverage he could find. He smirked at the thought. Dean Liu Erlong wouldn't want everyone to know about her strange dressing habits, would she? The next morning, Liu Erlong arrived at Xiao Ze's villa bright and early. Ning Rongrong fussed over his clothes while Du Guyan and the others glared at Liu Erlong. Liu Erlong just pouted. Don't worry, we're going to get a spirit ring, not to die. You still say that. Why did you call Xiao Ze in the first place? Du Guyan snapped. Kiddo, I don't know if I'm crazy, but your little boyfriend is under my care for the next 2 days, Liu Erlong replied without a hint of apology. Ugh! Du Guyan was incandescent. She suspected Liu Erlong had some kind of crush on Xiao Ze and planned some dramatic rescue scene. Beauty saves the man, or the other way around. Ning Rongrong stepped forward, fixing Liu Erlong with a deadly serious look. I'm giving Xiao Ze to you intact. Bring him back safe. If anything happens to him, your Blue Tyrant Academy can forget about it. I, Ning Rongrong, mean it. Liu Erlong's eyes softened with admiration. This little girl was much stronger than she'd been a year ago. Good material. She liked resolute people, regardless of gender. Ning Rongrong would make a fine successor for the 7 treasure glazed tile school one day, but that was none of Liu Erlong's business now. Don't worry, I promise to die before him, Liu Erlong said with dramatic confidence. That's the best outcome, Ning Rongrong responded. Xiao Ze sighed softly. This trip to the Stardew Great Forest felt like a war about to begin. He was still too weak. If he were stronger, Rongrong wouldn't have reacted like this. He swore to himself to stop taking such risks in the future. He didn't want to give them any more reason to worry. Still, Xiao Ze wasn't really an adventurer at heart. Chapter 150, Star Forest Lava Lake. They really do care about you. Xiao Ze glanced over at Liu Erlong as their carriage moved toward the Star Do Great Forest. They're all my people, Liu Erlong replied casually. Of course they care. Heh. What a piece of work, Xiao Ze scoffed. But I'll be responsible for every one of them, unlike your so-called fiancé. Shut up! Yu Xiaogang isn't my fiancé, Liu Erlong snapped, hiding the sting in her voice. If she hadn't feared Yu Wanzhen making trouble, she would have paid Yu Xiaogang back long ago. You've got questionable taste in men, Xiao Ze teased. Maybe the next one will be another Yu Xiaogang. Liu Erlong grew quiet. This time the hurt was genuine. The memory of being jilted all those years ago still smarted. She was stronger now, much stronger than the old Yu Xiaogang, but the wound hadn't completely healed. By the way, I'm not just here to help you get a spirit ring, Xiao Ze said. What else are you up to? Liu Erlong asked. Looking for treasure, Xiao Ze said without hiding it. A mere Liu Erlong wasn't a match for him. He didn't need to be secretive. Treasure, Liu Erlong sat up, suddenly very interested. After so many years, she had never even found a spirit bone or any rare resource. This sounded like her first real treasure hunt. I was pretty lucky as a kid, Xiao Ze admitted. Once I get my spirit ring, I'll help you look. Deal, Liu Erlong replied. She'd been itching for something like this. They arrived at the Star Do Great Forest not long after. Xiao Ze asked where the spirit beasts were concentrated. The forest is enormous, Liu Erlong explained. We need to head for a lava lake in the mixed zone. The beasts there are all fire attributed, and some even have dragon bloodlines. That sounds perfect, Xiao Ze said. Liu Erlong's spirit was a fire dragon. Dragon and fire-type spirit rings would suit her best. I've prepared everything, Liu Erlong added, pulling out a large porcelain bottle. Even poison, just in case. Is that reliable? Xiao Ze asked, frowning. Don't worry. If it fails, we can still run, she answered. Liu Erlong cared about her life now. She had finally learned to live for herself, and she wouldn't throw that away. She'd brought Xiao Ze along and didn't want to lose face by getting reckless. They started deeper into the forest. Liu Erlong deliberately released level 80 spirit pressure. Spirit beasts under 10,000 years, or barely entering that level, would think twice before approaching. As they walked, Xiao Ze's consciousness slipped into his sea of awareness. God of Agriculture, Xiao, keep an eye out, he instructed those within his mind. If you find the treasure's location, tell me. Don't worry, be careful yourself, the God of Agriculture answered. 10,000-year spirit beasts sometimes show up in the mixed zone. There are quite a few in the Star Do Great Forest. I understand, Xiao Ze replied. Despite knowing the general destination, the forest proved vast. Night fell, and they still hadn't reached the mixed zone. Can we camp here? Xiao Ze asked. Being close to the mixed zone meant more powerful spirit beasts could appear. If they come, I'll let them taste my fire fist, Liu Erlong said, setting up the tent. Xiao Ze glanced at the small shelter. You only brought one? He asked. What else would I bring? She retorted, reading him like a book. You didn't bring one, did you? Xiao Ze felt embarrassed. Between the ice and fire yin-yang, well, in the last few weeks at home, he'd gotten used to sleeping out in the open and had forgotten a tent altogether. Judging by your face, you didn't, Liu Erlong said with a smirk. Come on, we'll share. Isn't that a bit inappropriate? Xiao Ze protested. Tsk, you really think a little guy like you could do anything to me? She said, mock offended. I'm worried you'll make a move on me, given how handsome and talented you are. How shameless, Liu Erlong's mouth twitched. If you don't want to come in, stay out. Xiao Ze ducked into the tent anyway. It was new and ordinary. After so many years on the road, she still kept practical gear. I'm going to sleep, she said, lying on her side. Her fiery red hair fanned across the pillow. Xiao Ze stayed awake a while longer, slipping back into his sea of consciousness to continue work with Sui Hua and the others. They'd accumulated a fair number of resources lately. He could send some to Qingxi village. If the village produced more spirit masters, that would be good for everyone. When he returned to the tent, he watched Liu Erlong. Her brows were slightly furrowed. She wasn't sleeping peacefully. Xiao Ze, you bastard, she mumbled in her sleep. He was puzzled. He hadn't done anything to provoke such a dream. Still, Yu Xiaogang's betrayal had clearly left a mark on her. Her long-cherished feelings for a fiancé who ran away had collapsed. It made sense she would dream and mutter in her sleep. Night deepened. Xiao Ze lay on his back, breathing steady. Liu Erlong shifted, hair brushing his neck and carrying a faint fragrance. Her arm slid around him. Her fingertips found the lapel of his jacket and tightened. She murmured, muffled, head bowed close to his collarbone. "Don't leave anymore." By morning, Xiao Ze woke to warmth and a burning sensation on his face. For a heartbeat, he was disoriented, then realized how the tent had been arranged. Liu Erlong had rolled over in her sleep and pressed herself against him. He felt the soft weight of her chest against his face and the strength of her arms wrapped around him. "Hey, wake up." He tried to free himself gently from her embrace. Liu Erlong grumbled and frowned. So noisy first thing in the morning. She realized then that her hands were holding something. Looking down, she saw Xiao Ze's expression, miffed, a little resentful, and immediately let go. "Why were you in my arms? You've gone too far, taking advantage of me while I was asleep and groping me," she snapped. Xiao Ze opened his mouth and replied dryly, "Playing the victim first?" Chapter 151, Red Flame Dragon Lizard. "That's nonsense. How could I, Liu Erlong, possibly be the one who fell asleep hugging you?" Liu Erlong snapped immediately. "The facts show it was you. Otherwise, why were you hugging me instead of me hugging you?" Xiao Ze shot back. Liu Erlong hesitated, then quickly offered, "Maybe you were just trying to relive a mother's embrace." Xiao Ze rolled his eyes. "You're big, but that's shameless. A mother's embrace? Except for that one big part, where else do you look like a mother?" Liu Erlong's cheeks flushed under his look, and she turned her head away. "Enough. We need to move. Don't waste my time." Xiao Ze didn't want to dither either. What if she really did go wild and tried to eat him? He was still weak. She was dangerous. Once they entered the spirit core area, they tightened their guard. This inner region was full of ancient spirit beasts. 10,000-year and even 100,000-year-old creatures could appear. Letting down their guard here would mean death. "Are you sure it's in that direction?" Xiao Ze asked. "Right there, at the base of that volcano. See it?" Following Liu Erlong's jizzer, Xiao Ze saw a squat, low volcano. It wasn't a grand peak, but a small cone only a few dozen meters high. White smoke drifted from its concave top. The slopes were crusted with cooled basalt, and red lava occasionally seeped through cracks. The crater itself was only a few dozen meters across, fresh molten rock bubbling up now and then. Around the volcano, everything was barren. No ordinary plants could survive here, not even plant-type spirit beasts. A low, dark red lava lake nearly 1,000 meters across lay not far from them. Its surface was viscous, roiling magma, charred bubbles breaking with soft pops and scattering sparks. Within 100 meters of the shore, the air warped and steamed. The heat was oppressive. Xiao Ze wiped his brow. This place was brutally hot. "There are a lot of spirit beasts here. Which one are you after?" Liu Erlong crouched with him behind a rock. "That huge lizard, the scarlet flame dragon lizard. Its bloodline has a trace of a fire dragon, which matches my spirit. It'll be the best fit for me." Liu Erlong hadn't expected such a spirit beast here. Its discovery pleased her. The 7 scarlet crystal dragon spines on its back prove it's 70,000 years old. That's the one. Then let's lure it out first. The lava lake isn't suitable for a fight. We won't last long in that heat. Xiao Ze felt the temperature here was already over 100 degrees. Without his spirit power shield, he'd be cooked. "No problem. I'll go draw its attention," Liu Erlong said. "Forget it. There are too many spirit beasts here. It'll be a mess if you try to get out. Leave it to me." "What will you do?" Xiao Ze didn't answer aloud. He summoned his bonded beast. "Suihua, master." Suihua responded. "Hiss, your summoned beast can speak?" Liu Erlong looked surprised. "Less talk," Xiao Ze muttered, annoyed. Liu Erlong wanted to snap back but clenched her tongue. He was helping her after all. "Suihua, make illusions to attract that scarlet flame dragon lizard. Try not to draw any others." "Understood." Suihua nodded and produced 8 illusions. Suihua itself was small. In front of these huge spirit beasts, it was almost invisible. Nevertheless, under Suihua's control, the 8 illusions crept around an obsidian rock near the lava lake. The scarlet flame dragon lizard lounged nearby. One illusion stepped out slowly, brandishing an ear of rice like a tiny whip and smacking it on its tail. The illusion only had about 30% of Suihua's full strength, but it was still formidable, After all, Suihua was legendary. Roar! The lizard turned at the sting, but saw nothing. The rice ear came down again across its face. Now it lowered its head and saw the odd little creature. Furious, the scarlet flame dragon lizard breathed a gout of flame and incinerated the small illusion. It sneered and turned away, only to be struck again. Roar! It was enraged. First one small pest, then another. Did they think it was just a lizard? It had a fire dragon's bloodline. The illusions ignored its roar. Suihua hurriedly controlled them to rush out from the lava lake's edge. The scarlet flame dragon lizard charged after one of them, convinced it could scorch whatever dared to tease it. The other illusions sprang out in different directions, hemming it in from all sides. The huge lizard, not terribly bright, grew increasingly confused. In a fit of anger, it swept a mouthful of flame, annihilating several illusions, then lunged toward the last three. Xiao Ze, keep it coming. We're already out of the lava lake area, Liu Erlong said, patting his shoulder. Don't use your hands. You're too strong. Xiao Ze rubbed his shoulder. Got it. Let's lead it to a less crowded spot. The nearby beasts are spooked off by it, which is perfect. That place looks good. There are a few big trees over there that we can use to restrain it. Liu Erlong pointed to a spot roughly 500 meters away. Good. Suihua, keep it up. For Suihua, the job was simple. It couldn't match the scarlet flame dragon lizard in a direct fight even if it had evolved, but luring it was child's play. Not every spirit beast was clever. Under the pull of the illusions, the lizard moved 2 to 3 kilometers away from the lava lake. Only about 300 meters now remained before they reached the planned arena. Liu Erlong, it's your turn. Understood. Liu Erlong let the fire dragon's presence possess her. Raging flames flared around her. The heat made her long hair whip wildly, and a feral aura sharpened her eyes. Chapter 152, Violent Soul Beast. Eat my grandma's claw. Liu Erlong's hands turned into burning dragon claws. In an instant, she was before the scarlet flame dragon lizard, ripping its back open with a single swipe. Blood that seemed a flame sprayed out. Roar! The lizard howled in agony. Its fierce eyes locked on Liu Erlong. Fire spirit energy filled the air, crushing in on her. This was a 70,000-year-old spirit beast with a fire dragon bloodline, not a foe to be taken lightly. Its massive, barbed tail swept across the ground, cracking earth and spewing lava in its path. Liu Erlong did not retreat. She activated her 5th spirit ability, heaven-shattering, earth-splitting strike, diving down from height so her dragon claws met the lizard's tail head-on. The force sent her skidding back several steps. As expected of a spirit beast with fire dragon bloodline, its power is enormous, Liu Erlong murmured. Seeing a human with such strength, the scarlet flame dragon lizard opened its maw and blasted out a pillar of molten fire, the heat far beyond ordinary flame. A phantom pattern of reverse dragon scales, the mark of her 6th spirit ability, appeared on Liu Erlong, largely neutralizing the fire pillar. Seizing the beast's brief weakness, she followed with her 4th spirit ability. The ground erupted and a 5-meter diameter column of flame burst up beneath the lizard, sending it skyward, and Liu Erlong's dragon claws tore into its belly. Holy crap! She's actually that ferocious? Xiao Ze's voice was full of disbelief. A spirit saint usually had no hope against a 70,000-year-old spirit beast, especially one with a fire dragon bloodline. Yet Liu Erlong fought like a storm. No wonder people called her the tyrannical dragoness. Her top-tier fire dragon spirit and ferocious temperament made her a brutal combatant. The scarlet flame dragon lizard felt threatened and grew even more frenzied, attacking recklessly. For a while, Liu Erlong was hard-pressed. This damn lizard is unbearable, she muttered. Although her power was tremendous, her durability and spirit reserves were draining fast. For a quarter of an hour, they clashed in a brutal stalemate, bangs of collision echoing while nearby spirit beasts prudently kept their distance, intimidated by the aura. That at least saved Xiao Ze from having to fend off anything else. Liu Erlong curled her lip and flicked her finger. A blue and white porcelain bottle spun and flew at the lizard's head. Eat my poison, you damned beast! The bottle smashed on the lizard's skull, and a crimson powder billowed out like a red mist. The lizard inhaled it through its nostrils, and the powder flooded its system. Xiao Ze watched quietly. He had a nagging doubt about the powder's color, Something about it seemed off, but he'd never used poison himself, so he couldn't say for sure. The lizard's body stiffened, and Liu Erlong nodded in satisfaction. Looks like that person wasn't lying. But then its eyes bulged bloodshot, and molten lava forced its way through the gaps in its scales. Sparks flew, its muscles ballooned, and its tail crashed into the ground, making fissures crawl across the earth. Liu Erlong frowned. Why does it feel wrong? It's like the lizard's gotten even more vicious. The scarlet flame dragon lizard had gone insane. Whatever rational thought it had was overwhelmed by the drug's effect. Only the primitive urge to kill remained. It leveled a bestial stare at Liu Erlong, and the rumbling growl in its throat deepened. Roar! It lunged far faster than before. Its massive foreclaws, dripping lava, smashed toward Liu Erlong. Oh no, it's completely berserk. Her face went pale as she dodged, but the aftershock still sent her flying. A part of her clothing was singed black. I knew it. This woman's utterly brainless, Xiao Ze sighed, but he still didn't move. He wanted to observe a bit longer. The beast was stronger now, but also mindless. Perhaps Liu Erlong could handle it. As long as he wasn't threatened, he wouldn't intervene. He wasn't that heartless to leave completely. Damn it! What kind of medicine did those unscrupulous merchants give me? Liu Erlong cursed, breathless. Aphrodisiac, the god of agriculture's voice chimed in Xiao Ze's ear. Huh? An aphrodisiac? That's right. She threw an aphrodisiac at the spirit beast, and it drove it berserk. God of agriculture, why didn't you tell me sooner? Xiao Ze was speechless. Liu Erlong had really bought an aphrodisiac and used it on the beast. No wonder she was in trouble. The god of agriculture sounded faintly amused. I didn't know how this particular spirit beast would react. I thought the girl might be able to control it. Well, either she was tricked or she was being stupid. I can't tell the difference. The scarlet flame dragon lizard's attacks grew more frantic. Lava spewed wildly from its mouth in sweeping, indiscriminate blasts. The ground melted, trees turned to ash. In moments, the surroundings were ruined. Xiao Ze shifted to a different concealment spot. Liu Erlong weaved through the scorching winds, her hair whipped back, cheeks flushed. Damn you, crooked merchant. I'll hunt you down, she snarled. She still matched the beast in strength, but its berserk disregard for its own life made it far more dangerous. Those who cherish life fear those who have none. Fire dragon true body, Liu Erlong roared, erupting into full fire dragon form and colliding with the crazed scarlet flame dragon lizard. Two colossal draconic forms tore through the battlefield. Fire and lava intertwined and deafening roars shook the air. Tsk-tsk. As expected of Liu Erlong, her combat strength is impressive, Xiao Ze murmured, watching from afar. The god of agriculture added, I'm afraid you'll have to step in eventually. Because of its bloodline, this beast's berserk state may not stop on its own. It'll burn everything until it consumes even its own life. Dragons and their lustful natures, the god of agriculture chuckled. A little aphrodisiac, and look what happens. Chapter 153. Liu Erlong's amazing fighting power. Bang, bang, bang. Liu Erlong was already cut and scorched in many places. The scarlet flame dragon lizard was trading wounds with her without a care for its own life, and the constant contact left her aching all over. Get out of my way, Liu Erlong roared, unleashing a fan-shaped blast of flame from midair that swept tens of meters forward. The scarlet beast was pushed back several paces by the terrifying fire, but as a fire-attributed spirit beast, it had a natural resistance to flame techniques. Liu Erlong found it difficult to deal it any truly mortal blow. Watching the one-sided duel, Xiao Ze quietly summoned all his spirits. Brothers, attack that berserk spirit beast. Don't get in too close, just support Liu Erlong, he ordered. He would not let his spirits die senselessly. If they perished, they'd be lost, and he'd have to recultivate them, which was a huge hassle. Besides, he and his spirits had feelings for each other. They weren't expendable. Suihua nodded. Master, leave it to me. She immediately shifted into her super-evolved form. Her aura leapt to Spirit Emperor level, only at the initial stage, but still impressive. Xiao Ze approved. Suihua and he both knew the spirits intimately. She was like an elder sibling to them, and her command ability surpassed Xiao Ze's. He cultivated every day but rarely fought. In the Sea of Spirit, she had learned many command techniques from the god of agriculture, the Icefire Dragon King, and others. She could almost joke to herself that a mere master had become a tool for her own cultivation. "Listen up, Shimong, take the brothers who can boost and go boost that auntie," Suihua shouted, waving a sheaf of grain like a baton. "Yes." Shimong came forward to within 100 meters of Liu Erlong. The kernels on her ear of grain trembled and emitted a high-frequency sacred song. A beautiful melody washed over everyone. Shimong's epic skill, abundant ode. The effect was staggering. It amplified attack power, defense, speed, and spirit ability effectiveness by 50% for the group. It was the kind of percentage amplifying skill only rarely seen, the sort of amplification that made the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda infamous. Percentage boosts could stack extraordinarily well, even on titled Douluo, if you had the spirit power to sustain them. Liu Erlong felt that surge of power and froze for a moment. She hadn't expected Xiao Ze's brat to have a percentage amplifier. It was a noble, rare kind of support. Qinglove linked herself to Liu Erlong too, activating all things in sync. Spirit ability effect plus 25%, spirit power recovery plus 50%, and whenever one of them dealt damage, the other would simultaneously fire a tracking, armor-piercing energy shot. Luli didn't hold back either. She cast all 4 of her support abilities onto Liu Erlong at once. The dragon's body suddenly seemed to draw from an endless well of strength. She bellowed in exhilaration. "Xiao Ze is incredible." Xiao Ze's mouth twitched. "You're a human, not a spirit beast, just because you turned into a fire dragon," he thought, but he couldn't deny the power. Bright Moon piled on with healing and a shield. The shield shattered instantly against the Scarlet Flame Dragon Lizard's assault, but even blocking one attack made a difference. The shield's destruction produced a shock that affected the enemy. Liu Erlong swiped a claw. The lizard's lava scales shattered like glass. Wherever her claws slashed, flesh and blood were mangled. "I'm so strong now." Liu Erlong's dragon face broke into a grin that showed in her movements. She pressed the assault, claw after claw, battering the scarlet beast almost senseless. But she wouldn't stop. She wanted to finish it. Deep in her throat, a crimson gold fireball condensed several meters across. She hurled it down like a meteor, and it struck the lizard's back. The blast didn't merely explode, it turned into a rolling sea of flame that enveloped both beast and dragon. Liu Erlong meant to protect the little spirits behind her. The enemy had gone mad, and she couldn't be certain it wouldn't turn on their summons. The Scarlet Flame Dragon Lizard was a walking ruin, its body a mass of open wounds. Its blood-red eyes cleared a little as pain hit, but Liu Erlong paid no heed. Her tail swept like a warhammer, smashing into the lizard's back. Each smash made the ground quake. When the beast tried to bite back, Liu Erlong seized its upper and lower jaws with a claw, pried them apart with brute force, and poured a gout of dragonfire straight into its belly. Organs hissed and seared inside. Damn, she really is brutal. Spitting into someone's mouth? Xiao Ze frowned at the uncouth tactic, but he had to admit its effectiveness. Internal organs were vulnerable in both beasts and humans. A direct attack there could be devastating. For human spirit masters, the move was less usable. Mouths were too small, but for a dragon, it was catastrophic. The lizard staggered and breathed out a cone of fire. Liu Erlong braced behind the reverse scale protection, charged through the blaze with a headbutt, and drove the scarlet beast back again and again. It spat blood. Its face was collapsing under the blows. "Hiss! Thick skin, tough as hell," Liu Erlong panted, her head swimming. Suhua, watching, felt a little wistful. "Looks like we don't even need to do anything," she murmured. "You'll have your turn later," Xiao Ze replied, rubbing his head. Suihua liked commanding more than fighting. She preferred farming commands, actually. A lot of the spirits had that hobby. Xiao Ze understood. He himself liked going to the Sea of Spirit to watch the fields when idle. There was a warm, hoarder's pleasure to it. "Last strike! Die, you damned spirit beast!" Liu Erlong roared. She dove down, gripped the lizard's spine with both claws, and ripped it clean in half while it still breathed. Hot lizard blood spattered across her scales as the creature's carcass split, and silence fell over the scarred ground. Chapter 154, Ghost Face Forest. A black spirit ring floated in midair. Liu Erlong withdrew from her true form and collapsed to the ground. Blood covered her, but she no longer seemed to care. Humph. Damn merchants. I'll settle accounts with them when I get back, she spat, gritting her strength. Fighting a scarlet flame dragon lizard shouldn't have been this hard. It was all because of that medicine. Xiao Ze approached slowly, an odd expression on his face. Dean Liu Erlong, you actually sold the scarlet flame dragon lizard an aphrodisiac. You're talented. What, an aphrodisiac? Liu Erlong froze. You didn't know what medicine you bought, Xiao Ze asked, suspicious. Damn it, I thought it was poison. Those treacherous merchants, she roared. Next time you buy medicine, check it properly. Someone who didn't know might think you were trying to give me an aphrodisiac, Xiao Ze muttered, embarrassed. Liu Erlong's mouth curved into a teasing smile. Someone like you, how long could you last? You're just a little kid. Although unmarried, Liu Erlong knew more than she let on. When alone, she studied to keep herself occupied. All right, you old pervert, absorb your spirit ring quickly, Xiao Ze complained. Say my age again, and I'll pound you to death, she warned, thrusting out a fist. Got it. Xiao Ze rolled his eyes. She looked younger in spirit now, he thought, less melancholic than before, when she had seemed hollowed out by grief over Xiaogang. Now she was livelier. Liu Erlong sat cross-legged and began transferring the spirit ring with her spirit power. This 8th spirit ring will take some time. Suihua, clean up here and wait with us. Okay. 2 hours passed. Finally, Liu Erlong finished. Ha ha ha, I, Liu Erlong, am finally a spirit Douluo. She jumped up, hands on hips. What level? Xiao Ze asked. 82. Not bad. She clapped Xiao Ze on the shoulder. Little fellow, thanks. If it weren't for you, I might have had to run. If you ever need anything, come to me. Xiao Ze rubbed his sore shoulder. If you hadn't bought that medicine, I wouldn't have had to get involved. Humph, treacherous merchants. Flames seemed to flicker in Liu Erlong's eyes. Xiao Ze knew those merchants were in for a bad time. All right, let's go find this treasure, Liu Erlong said. I'll protect you. She patted her ample chest, which jiggled alarmingly. Okay. Xiao Ze still wanted a bodyguard. The treasure map could lead to danger. He took an old yellowed parchment from his spirit tool. It showed a section of the Stardew Great Forest, 3 trees arranged in a triangle with a mark in the center. The forest was vast. Finding the spot by himself would be nearly impossible. Is this your treasure map? Liu Erlong asked as she took the parchment. It's ancient, must be thousands of years old, she said, inspecting it. Do you know where it is? Of course, I don't, Xiao Ze replied dryly. Who would recognize these 3 trees? Liu Erlong sighed. Are you sure it's in the Stardew Great Forest? Yes, Xiao Ze trusted Lan Xiao. Let's go see. While they walked, Xiao Ze asked quietly in his spirit sea, Xiao, where exactly is the place on this map? Lan Xiao answered. Those 3 aren't ordinary trees. They're ghost face trees, only found in the ghost face small forest inside the Stardew Great Forest. It's there. Though Lan Xiao wasn't a native spirit beast of the Stardew Great Forest, she had lived there long enough to know it. Xiao Ze also knew she had lost part of her memory, or rather, merged with part of Ah Yin's. Still, her knowledge was useful. Ghostface Small Forest, by the name alone, it doesn't sound inviting, Xiao Ze muttered. It isn't a mixed zone, but it's full of evil spirit beasts. There are many dangerous ones there, like the man-faced demon spider, Lan Xiao warned. Evil spirit beasts, huh? That's trouble. We'll have to fight our way in, Xiao Ze said. Normal spirit beasts would flee when they felt Liu Erlong's spirit power. But evil spirit beasts wouldn't. Those were violent, murderous creatures that attacked regardless of risk. That made the place hazardous. Xiao Ze led Liu Erlong to the edge of the ghost-faced small forest. The interior was pitch black, light swallowed by the canopy. Twisted, human-like patterns marred the trunks, and low, muffled wails drifted through the trees. The ground looked like dark humus, soft and damp. You're saying the treasure's inside this eerie forest? Liu Erlong asked. Look, aren't those trees the same as on the map? Xiao Ze said. The trunks indeed bore the strange face-like carvings. Liu Erlong frowned. This place is clearly where evil spirit beasts gather. At least it's not a mixed zone. We won't find many 10,000-year spirit beasts, so it should be comparatively safe. You really going in? Liu Erlong asked again. Of course. Don't stray more than a meter from me. Spirit beasts here can ambush suddenly. Xiao Ze warned. Got it. Liu Erlong stayed close. Xiao Ze summoned Suihua. With Liu Erlong as the front line, the others could operate through the spirit sea. The ground felt grotesquely like treading over a living creature's organs. Each step sank slightly, and a dark red sap oozed up. The sight and smell made Xiao Ze queasy. He vowed not to come back if he could avoid it. He still couldn't fathom why the treasure map would lead to such a place. A wind blew, and the trees emitted a shrill, laugh-like sound. Both Lu Erlong and Xiao Ze tightened their grips. The forest pressed on them, oppressive and unnerving. Hiss, hiss, Dean Lu Erlong, did you hear something? Xiao Ze asked. Lu Erlong said nothing. She turned and unleashed flames from her hand, the light revealing dozens of thorny vines writhing along the ground. Little ghost vines, Xiao Ze muttered, still attacking. Lu Erlong's fire ate through the tendrils easily. Then she expelled a fan-shaped spray of flame from her mouth, sweeping the area and burning away all the ghost vines hiding in the shadows. Spirit rings blossomed in the air, casting bright light like hanging lanterns, making the surroundings much clearer. See? Be careful. I don't know why this damn place is always so dark, and the spirit beasts blend into it. You have to keep your eyes open, Lu Erlong warned. Got it. Lu Erlong led Xiao Ze forward at a cautious pace. Xiao Ze, meanwhile, kept a mental channel open to Lan Xiao. Xiao, why are you here? Lan Xiao shook her head in his mind. It wasn't that she had chosen to come. She was born in the blue-silver forest, and had only come to the Stardew Great Forest to see this so-called primary spirit beast gathering place. As for the little ghost-face forest, she had been chased into it by other spirit beasts by accident. So that's it. I thought so. You're the blue-silver emperor. You shouldn't like a place like this. Xiao Ze, the place should be about 1 kilometer to the upper right of the little ghost-face forest's center. It's been so long, I can't remember exactly. Got it. Back in the moment, Xiao Ze tugged on Lu Erlong's sleeve. Upper right of the center. How do you know that? Lu Erlong asked suspiciously. You don't need to know everything, Xiao Ze replied with a small shrug. Little fellow, so mysterious. Lu Erlong let it drop. I can't stand this darkness. Flames flickered into being above her head. Xiao Ze gaped. You're amazing. Fire on your head? Your control is incredible. Of course, I'm already a spirit Douluo, Lu Erlong said, offended. If she, a spirit Douluo, couldn't control a flame like that, she'd be useless. Xiao Ze grinned and asked, Do you think Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong will come looking for you if she finds out you crippled Yu Xiaogong? Lu Erlong frowned. You, how do you know about that? I'm a top student. I've read a lot. People like to write diaries, Xiao Ze said lightly. Ah, there are no airtight secrets in the world, Lu Erlong sighed. To be honest, Yu Xiaogong is something else. He not only got me, he got Bibi Dong too. Outrageous. Heh, so you two were both taken in. Xiao Ze was a little speechless. He half suspected Yu Xiaogong had been running a pyramid scheme in his youth. I have no ties to Yu Xiaogong now, and I'm not sure about Bibi Dong. She shouldn't be that extreme. If she is, I'll run. Lu Erlong didn't think she could compete with Bibi Dong. Hard to say. Xiao Ze's mind flickered. He hoped Bibi Dong wasn't as dangerous now. If he ever joined the Spirit Hall, sharing the same workplace with someone unstable would be a nightmare. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on it. Yu Xiaogong's gone from Heaven Do City too. The little ghost-face forest wasn't large, and they reached its center quickly. A sharp crow cry split the stillness. Lu Erlong and Xiao Ze looked up at the sky. The heavens had gone crimson. Damn it! Blood crows! Lu Erlong shouted. Xiao Ze, protect yourself. There are too many. I might not be able to cover you. Hundreds, no, thousands of blood crows filled the sky, a rolling tide of red that pressed down over them. Lu Erlong hadn't expected such numbers in the little ghost-face forest. A dozen or two would be normal, but thousands were unheard of. Fortunately, the crows were either century-old or at most millennium-old spirit beasts. None were 10,000-year veterans. Still, the sheer mass of them made Xiao Ze's scalp prickle. Each was about the size of a palm, with blade-like beaks and steel-hooked claws. Blood crows were fiercely territorial. Anything that intruded would be shredded. Seeking death, Lu Erlong's eyes flared. Second spirit ability, Dragon Flame Breath. She exhaled in a blast, incinerating the first wave of blood crows charging toward them. The birds weren't individually powerful, their threat lay in numbers. Feathers and scorched flesh rained down, but more crows dove in a frenzied assault. Annoying insects, Xiao Ze growled, frowning. He swept his right hand and implanted a host of spirit banyan seeds into the earth. Then he detonated them. The seeds burst upward into long wooden spikes that pierced the air and impaled the blood crows. Several birds crashed into the spikes and fell unconscious. "Not bad, little fellow," Liu Erlong praised, "but they just keep coming." Her 8th spirit ring flared beneath her feet. The ground fractured as 8 chains of fire erupted and swept in a 100-li radius, forming a blazing barrier. Flames clung to any blood crow inside, burning them relentlessly. "A domain-type spirit ability?" Xiao Ze asked. "Sort of, more like half a domain. It weakens their fire resistance inside the barrier." Liu Erlong explained. "I do have a fire-type spirit ability," Xiao Ze said. Frost Ember dragon wings unfurled behind him with a shimmering cold, then fire-scorched sheen. Liu Erlong's eyes widened. "Holy crap, an external spirit bone! Dragon wings! You're so lucky! Did you kill a dragon?" She gaped, excited. Xiao Ze smirked. He wasn't bothered that Liu Erlong knew. External spirit bones bond to their user and won't fall into others' hands even in death. Liu Erlong wasn't malicious. She might be a bit blunt, but she was decent. He spread his wings. Frost Ember Dragon Wing Skill, Ice Fire Judgment. Xiao Ze crossed his wings and unleashed a cross-shaped wave of energy. Ice Fire Judgment could manifest as 2 kinds of slashes, the Ice attribute Extreme Ice-Splitting Sky Slash and the Fire attribute Burning Heaven Blazing Feather Strike. They could be combined or used separately. This time, Xiao Ze channeled the Burning Heaven Blazing Feather Strike. A blazing arc sliced through the sky, meeting the tide of blood crows head-on. Chapter 156, Treasureland. Tianyu Empire swish. A massive cross-shaped wave of energy tore through the air, crimson blades of light weaving and spinning. Wherever it passed, blood crows disintegrated into dust, no bodies left behind. "Not bad, kid. You actually took out so many at once," Liu Erlong said with a grin. "Finish them off. They're disgusting to look at," Xiao Ze replied. "Understood." Liu Erlong's figure flashed within the barrier, and she quickly cleared away the remaining blood crows. "How can there be so many blood crows in this cursed place?" she murmured, staring at the dense white, yellow, and purple spirit rings drifting in the air, a little dazed. "It's spectacular to see so many spirit rings at once," Xiao Ze said, reaching out to touch them. "It's my first time seeing this, too. Too bad there aren't any 10,000-year blood crows. Then we'd have 4 kinds of spirit rings right here." Liu Erlong nodded. "Come on, let's move." Xiao Ze scanned the darkness as they advanced. They were getting closer to the center. Soon they arrived at a more open area with fewer trees. A few 10,000-year spirit beasts lingered at the edge, but Liu Erlong had driven them off. "Northeast, there," she said. Her sense of direction hadn't failed her, even in the pitch-black forest. The two walked slowly for another kilometer and found a rare clearing. 3 ghost-faced trees stood in the middle. "Looks like we found it," Liu Erlong said, checking the map. "That's right." Xiao Ze's mouth tilted into a small smile. Finding the spot meant the map might be real, about a 70% chance. He still didn't know what the map pointed to. "God of Agriculture, can you sense any danger?" Xiao Ze asked. "Don't worry, the space beneath those trees is empty. Go down and take a look," the God of Agriculture urged. He hadn't hunted for treasure in a long time and was as curious as Xiao Ze. He had a hunch whatever was down there would be useful. As someone with merit, his luck and intuition were often right. "Dean, here, smash the ground in the middle," Liu Erlong said suddenly. "Why call me Dean? You're not from our Blue Tyrant Academy," Xiao Ze teased. "Your Blue Tyrant Academy can't compare to Heaven Do Royal Academy," Xiao Ze replied coolly. "Damn it," Liu Erlong pouted. The Blue Tyrant Academy had a good reputation in Heaven Do City, but it was nowhere near the Royal Academy's resources or facilities. Xiao Ze wondered how the Blue Tyrant Academy even qualified for the Soul Master competition. Probably someone influential was backing them. Liu Erlong's fist, wrapped in explosive flames, slammed down on the ground between the 3 ghost-faced trees. The scorching blow pierced the soil. With a thunderous crash, the earth collapsed into a nearly 5-meter-wide pit. "Oh, there really is a big hole," Liu Erlong said, retracting her flaming wrist and taking 2 steps back. Xiao Ze hurried over, peered into the pit, and frowned. The shaft was pitch black and seemed bottomless. "This doesn't look like it formed naturally," he muttered. "Then again, nothing here seems natural." Probably made by an Earth Attribute Spirit Master, Liu Erlong said, joining him. An Earth Attribute Spirit Master made it and it's held up this long? Xiao Ze asked in surprise. Who knows? Different spirit abilities have different effects. From ancient times to now, there must be hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of abilities. One of them could do this. Liu Erlong sparked a wisp of flame on her fingertip and held it to the cave wall. The surface looked smooth and flat with the marks of artificial excavation, though weathered by time. Strange, Xiao Ze said, but he didn't dwell on it. This kind of cave beneath the Stardew Great Forest, even with all the caves here, I've never seen one like this underground, Liu Erlong said, lips curling. And it's hiding something. What do you think it is? Xiao Ze asked. Hard to say. A spirit bone, maybe, or some other treasure. We could be lucky, Liu Erlong replied with a smile. It's mine, Xiao Ze said. To the discoverers belong the spoils, Liu Erlong shot back. No way. Xiao Ze shook his head. She was tagging along more for the fun than the loot. They both spread their wings and descended. Xiao Ze took out a handful of spirit tool light bulbs, and after Liu Erlong widened the hole further, placed them along the shaft. Dozens of soft lights banished the darkness and illuminated the path downward. I estimate we've dropped about 50 meters, Liu Erlong said, looking around. If it's that deep, whatever is down here must be important. I'm excited, Xiao Ze admitted. The map had come from his childhood. Finding it now felt strangely satisfying. They walked forward, tossing more spirit bulbs as they went. The cave light revealed a long, straight corridor. Footsteps echoed back at them as they joked and bickered, and soon they reached the innermost chamber. Holy crap, Liu Erlong blurted. So big, Xiao Ze echoed. Before them stood a massive spirit metal door, over 50 meters in diameter. It had once been dark gold, now dulled by time. Even the spirit power that should have flowed through it had faded. The door required spirit power to open. Each of the two panels had a hand-shaped groove, and beneath them someone had carved a line of ancient text. The characters were not modern. Xiao Ze couldn't read them. A voice said. This is the script of the Tianyu Empire from 3,000 years ago. Chapter 157, Heavenly Craftsmanship Soul Guide. Tianyu Empire. Xiao Ze froze. An empire from 3,000 years ago. Interesting. That's right. Back then, not even the Star Luo or Heaven Do empires existed, and the Spirit Hall hadn't been founded yet. Only its predecessor, the Church, remained. Liu Erlong nodded. Where did you read this? I've read so many books and never seen it, Xiao Ze said, a little incredulous. The Douluo Continent didn't record everything. Insignificant history was often skipped. When he read historical records, there were always gaps of 100 or two. Events didn't connect, which was maddening. I saw it in an ancient text, Xiao Ze answered. It was with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan. It might not be available elsewhere. I knew it. I've read so much and never seen that. I didn't think you'd be into reading, Liu Erlong teased. What's wrong with reading? I can be cultured too. She put her hands on her hips, slightly offended. Judging by your personality, it doesn't seem likely, Xiao Ze said honestly. I may be a little fiery, but I'm a good woman, Liu Erlong shot back. Classic. Xiao Ze didn't press it, and instead changed the subject. What was the Tianyu Empire like? It was one of the 7 great empires 3,000 years ago, and fairly powerful, mid to high level. Before the Spirit Hall unified things, each empire had its own national language, and Tianyue was no exception. The Spirit Hall later standardized languages because communications were a real barrier for both commoners and spirit masters. Xiao Ze was surprised. He hadn't expected the Spirit Hall to have played that role. It had done a real service. Can you understand that old language? Yes, Liu Erlong replied. Xiao Ze's surprise grew. She could understand a language from 3,000 years ago? With that ability, why was she still just a dean? She could be uncovering ancient history and maybe secrets. Spirit masters from thousands or tens of thousands of years ago might not be inferior to modern ones. The legendary titled Douluo from earlier ages were practically immortal. Power was hard to compare across eras. Each age had its treasures, soul cores, battle armors, and the like. Liu Erlong began to read aloud from the book she'd found. We, in our lifetime, finally glimpsed the true meaning of spirit tools, but the world would not tolerate this art. It is concealed here, waiting for the fated one to obtain it. Tiangong Soul Guidance Core, last descendant. Both of them were stunned. Spirit tools? Hidden there? Spirit tools. It actually contains spirit tools, Xiao Ze breathed. It seems spirit tool development was advanced back then, but the knowledge wasn't passed down, Liu Erlong said. Xiao Ze smiled. This place was exactly the sort of treasure trove they'd hoped for. For spirit masters whose spirits weren't top tier, spirit tools were everything, the future. How powerful can those spirit tools be? Liu Erlong shrugged. You always think you know everything? Xiao Ze exasperated. No, but I've seen other spirit tools. Most are miscellaneous and not very combat capable, Liu Erlong replied. But you said that was for now, not then. This was the Spirit Guidance Corps, a military force. Spirit tools designed for a whole Spirit Master Legion won't be weak, Xiao Ze argued. You're right, let's go in and have a look. I want to see spirit tool tech from 1,000 years ago, Liu Erlong said. It's a pity the Douluo Continent didn't preserve spirit tool culture. They fell into disfavor even in the legions, Xiao Ze said with some resignation. The continent always favored individual cultivation. External aids like spirit tools were often shunned. Let's go in. Maybe you can help spirit tools flourish. Xiao Ze shook his head. He wasn't getting involved. He barely had time for alchemy, let alone spirit tool research. That should be left to old Wang. This was his prime time to make a breakthrough. Let's open the door, he said. Put your hand on it, Xiao Ze suggested, eyeing the palm print grooves on the door. Liu Erlong raised an eyebrow but pressed her palm into the groove on the right. Xiao Ze took a breath and placed his left hand in the left groove. Inject spirit power. They activated their spirit power together. Instantly, the patterns on the door glowed. Click, click, click. The grinding of ancient metal filled the air as the massive door, sealed for thousands of years, slowly slid open. A cold wind with an ancient aura rushed out. Xiao Ze's pupils tightened. He was shocked. The spirit tool mechanism still worked after millennia. This had to be a semi-artifact. What kind of force were the Tiangong Soul Guidance Corps? How advanced had spirit tool tech been? Liu Erlong didn't linger on wonder. She strode inside. Behind the door lay a broad metal corridor whose walls were set with countless tiny spirit tool lamps. As they stepped forward, the lamps lit in a wave, illuminating the passage. Hidden here was spirit tool technology far beyond their era. Oh, these lamps still light up. So this really is a treasure chamber from 3,000 years ago? Liu Erlong murmured. Who knows? We'll find out when we go in, Xiao Ze said, and they continued down the corridor. They soon reached a single chamber, the only room in the place. Its metal walls shone with high-grade craftsmanship. Such a big door, and only this room inside. What a shame, Liu Erlong wondered aloud as she looked around. Xiao Ze's attention was drawn to a platform in the center. Resting on it was a thick metal tome. Its cover bore 5 ancient characters, and the page edges glowed faintly in gold, clearly made from a special material that had survived intact for thousands of years. Xiao Ze approached slowly, pulling Liu Erlong with him. Hey, stop being so touchy-feely, she complained when he reached for it. Xiao Ze rolled his eyes. Translate, he said succinctly. Really, you want me to translate? Fine. I'll give you the book afterward. You can study it yourself, Liu Erlong replied. Good. Liu Erlong read the title aloud. Tiangong Soul Guidance Record. This seems to be the only thing here, probably the spirit tool data left by the Tiangong Corps. And the entire tome itself looks like a spirit tool, Xiao Ze added. Tsk, how interesting. It's my first time seeing a book turned into a spirit tool. They truly were the Spirit Guidance Corps, Liu Erlong said, now intrigued. Xiao Ze, when you translate it, show me. You don't even like spirit tools. Why do you want to see it? Xiao Ze asked. Mind your own business. You fiery dragoness. I'll bite you to death. Chapter 158, Return to Tiando City. They climbed out of the underground chamber and carefully buried the entrance behind them. You really like that treasure, don't you? Liu Erlong asked. Of course, Xiao Ze replied with a smile. Even if I can't decode all the spirit tool inscriptions yet, anything from the Heavenly Craft Legion is worth a fortune. If I can reproduce those spirit tools, it'll change the balance on the Douluo Continent. Liu Erlong regarded him for a moment. Why do you want so many spirit tools? To start a war. Xiao Ze's expression grew serious. The continent looks peaceful now, but it's just the calm before the storm. Spirit Hall's ambitions are no secret. A conflict is almost inevitable, and when it comes, spirit tools will be decisive. That stopped Liu Erlong. She hadn't expected him to speak so bluntly. Thinking it over, she had to admit he was right. Spirit Hall's influence had been spreading like a stain into empires, into remote villages. Wherever there were talented youths, Spirit Hall and its free spirit awakenings had been taking them. Rumors said every talent at Spirit Hall's Wuhun Academy possessed at least 6th-level innate spirit power. Those who grew up there would almost certainly become spirit emperors or even spirit saints, the real power players of the future. How many of them had come from the two empires? "So you plan to fight Spirit Hall," she said quietly. "That's dangerous." Xiao Ze's reply was unexpected. "I'm not going to stay and fight them head-on. I'll join Spirit Hall." Liu Erlong gaped. "Join Spirit Hall? How strong is Spirit Hall?" Xiao Ze asked, looking at her as if she'd missed the obvious. "Even the two empires together probably can't beat them. Am I supposed to stay here and wait to be crushed?" That's not good." Liu Erlong shook her head. She had no loyalty to the Heaven Dew Empire. Her Blue Tyrant Academy had been traded from the imperial household under some arrangement. She didn't belong to any one place. "Is joining Spirit Hall really what you want?" Xiao Ze shrugged. "I haven't even used half of the Academy's resources yet. When the Soul Master competition comes, I'll use what I need to win. If I take the championship and bring honor to Heaven Dew, then I won't owe anyone anything." Liu Erlong frowned. "And your village? If war breaks out, it's too far away. They won't be involved, and I can look after them when the time comes," he said calmly. Liu Erlong didn't press the point. "All right, just don't tell anyone about this." "You were worried about me?" Xiao Ze teased. "You wouldn't fall for me, old auntie." The familiar joke usually ruffled her, but this time Liu Erlong simply shrugged, colder than she'd expected. Xiao Ze blinked. For a moment he thought she might actually like him. He was surprised. He hadn't thought she'd be the kind to show affection so openly. He felt flattered and a little flustered. "You're imagining things," Liu Erlong said with an indifferent toss. "How could I like a kid like you?" That's good, Xiao Ze said, patting his chest in mock relief. Her face warmed for a fraction of a second. Liu Erlong felt a flicker of embarrassment and something like pleasure. She had helped him escape from Yu Xiaogong, shared long days together, seen him with Ning Rongrong and the others. She couldn't quite name why her heart quickened, only that it did. She decided to be patient and let her feelings grow. If she liked him, she would act on it when the time was right. Ning Rongrong would just have to forgive her if she became a rival someday. "Let's get out of this cursed place," she said finally. "I don't ever want to come back." Agreed. A few days later, they arrived back in Heaven Dew City. Liu Erlong smiled at Xiao Ze. "I'm headed back to the academy. Don't forget about those spirit tool notes. I'll send you the books." "You're leaving?" Xiao Ze asked. "Of course. I'll send them," she replied, then turned and strode towards her academy with a lighter step than when they had first arrived. The trip had made her a spirit Douluo and stirred things inside her she hadn't expected. Xiao Ze waved as she left and went back to the villa. When he opened the door, Ning Rongrong barreled into him. "Xiao Ze!" She squealed and wrapped her arms around his waist. He lifted her, and she looped her legs around him, burying her face in his neck. "My lovely Rongrong," he murmured. "You've gotten a bit heavier after a few days apart." "Liar," Ning Rongrong protested, puffing her cheeks, but she rewarded him with a quick kiss on the cheek. Then she sniffed. "Ooh, you smell like that Liu Erlong woman. You weren't sleeping with her these past 2 days, were you?" "No," Xiao Ze laughed. "We just shared a tent. I forgot to bring one." Ning Rongrong melted at that. There was no way she would make him sleep outside. She kissed him again, this time full on. "Sneak attack!" she cried when he kissed her back, and then she kissed him once more before he could protest. Zhu Qing and the others watched, eyes wide. After a moment, Xiao Ze gently pushed Ning Rongrong off and opened his arms. "Come on, all of you. Group hug." Dugu Yan was the first to step forward. She had missed the liveliness of the villa. Everything felt dull with Xiao Ze gone. "Yan Yan Jie," she murmured, pressing a tender kiss to his cheek and giving Ning Rongrong a wink. Ning Rongrong stuck out her tongue, amused. One by one, the girls hugged him. His face bloomed with a dozen faint red marks where their lips had brushed. Ning Rongrong produced a handkerchief and dabbed at him with an exaggerated frown. Xiao Ze, how did your treasure hunt go? She asked. Very well, he said, producing something from his bag. What is it? The girls all leaned forward. With a small flourish, he revealed a compact, heavy book of metal. Ta-da! A metal book? Juzu King said, puzzled. Who uses a metal book? Ning Rongrong frowned and ran a finger along the patterned cover. The designs, they look like spirit tool engravings. It could be a spirit tool, Xiao Ze said, voice low with excitement, or it could contain the schematics. Either way, it's more than it looks like. Chapter 159. Damn, Xiao Ze! That's right, it's a spirit tool, Xiao Ze nodded. Just a spirit tool? Then it must be really important. I can't even read the characters on it, Ning Rongrong said. Xiao Ze explained the Tiangong Soul Guidance Record. The girls' jaws dropped as they listened. My heavens, that's a spirit tool manual from an empire 3,000 years ago. Incredible. How could something like this survive? One of them gasped. So then this spirit tool must be high grade, right? Another asked. Xiao Ze froze for a moment. She was right. Low-grade spirit tools wouldn't last millennia. This one could easily be 9th grade or higher. He had hit the jackpot. Yes, I need to learn the Tianyu Empire's script and decipher it. If I can figure it out and learn to make spirit tools, I'll make a set for each of you. They'll boost your combat strength. Okay, they all agreed. Tianyu Empire. Xiao Ze, I'll go back to the sect and help you look for anything about that empire. Ning Rongrong offered. Okay, Xiao Ze replied. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School had been around for centuries. It had a huge number of ancient texts. There might be something. Then we should go back and search too, Du Guyan said. Okay. Aside from Meng Yiran and Juju King, the others left the villa. Juju Qing couldn't travel back yet, and Meng Yiran's family was less than 100 years old. They wouldn't have ancient archives. You all go about your business. I might go into seclusion, Xiao Ze said apologetically. It's fine. The spirit tool matter is important, they said. Xiao Ze pinched their cheeks and retreated to his cultivation room. He immediately pulled out the ancient book Liu Erlong had given him. It seemed to be a recent copy, a dictionary of the Tianyu Empire's script. That script, like the writ of the 7 kingdoms of old, was a precursor to modern characters. Some symbols were similar, others were far more complex, even more intricate than traditional characters. With Xiao Ze's current strength of mind, learning the script wasn't difficult. He didn't need to master every character. 3,000 or 4,000 would be enough to understand the Tiangong Soul Guidance Record. At his learning speed, 2 or 3 days would do. The next afternoon, Ning Rongrong returned to the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School and rushed straight to the library. Oh, isn't this young Miss Rongrong? Elder Li called out. Elder Li, Ning Rongrong panted. Do you know where the books about the Tianyu Empire are in our library? Tianyu Empire? Elder Li blinked. Young Miss Rongrong, you know I manage the library, but there are so many books. What kind of books exactly? I mean the Tianyu Empire from 3,000 years ago, she said. 3,000 years ago? Hiss, I don't read much of that ancient history, but we do have books, official and unofficial histories, stored in the far back of the first floor. Before he finished, Ning Rongrong had already rushed inside. What's that girl so frantic about? I should tell the sect master, Elder Li muttered. Elsewhere, Ye Lingling and Du Guyan were also digging through their family libraries. Ye Qingli watched Ye Lingling flit from shelf to shelf, bewildered. Lingling, what are you doing? Looking for books. But those are history books. Xiao Ze found a spirit tool treasure from an empire 3,000 years ago. I want to gather everything on that empire to see if there's any connection. Oh, Ye Qingli was surprised. An empire from 3,000 years ago. Come on, I'll help you look, she said with a smile. She didn't expect the find to be anything world-shattering, but Lingling had been unusually engrossed, like the time she first refined pills, and she was happy to keep her company. Ning Rongrong's back again? She's hunting an empire from 3,000 years ago in the library. Interesting. Grandpa Sword, Grandpa Bone, let's go see. Ning Fengji's spirit drew closer to the 8 treasure glazed tile pagoda. His mood brightened, and he seemed younger, even imagining a younger brother for Ning Rongrong. Okay, Chen Xin agreed. He'd never seen Ning Rongrong in the library before. As a child, she hated studying. Now she'd come in on her own. It had to be Xiao Ze's doing. No one else made her change so much. A moment later, the three arrived at the stacks. "She's in the far back," someone said. Ning Fengji nodded and pushed inside. "Not this one. Not this one. There are so many books." When a book flew toward him, Ning Fengji caught it reflexively. Books were scattered all over the floor. His scalp tingled. "My dear young miss, after 800 years away from the library, she comes back and makes a mess like this. Thank goodness it was only the first floor." "Rongrong, what are you doing?" Chen Xin asked. Ning Rongrong didn't turn. "Grandpa Sword, I'm looking for books about the Tianyou Empire." Chen Xin felt a prick of irritation at being barely acknowledged. Since Ning Rongrong paired up with Xiao Ze, she'd become less clingy to the old guards. Damn Xiao Ze! If he hadn't been stuck with a spirit ring that was at least 1,000 years old, Chen Xin would have gone out and roughed Xiao Ze up long ago. "Tianyou Empire, that name rings a bell," Gurong muttered. Ning Rongrong turned to him eagerly. "Grandpa Bone, do you know where those books are?" "I remember now. It's that legendary Tianyou Empire from 3,000 years ago," Gurong said, clapping his hands. "Yes, that's it." Ning Rongrong nodded, delighted. "Don't worry, I remember where they are." Gurong waved a massive hand and neatly shifted the books on the floor to one side. Ning Rongrong stepped forward and grabbed him to pull him closer. Chen Xin watched, feeling a little resentful. "I'm a cultured Super Douluo too. I should read history books in future. I can't let Gurong hog the glory. Damn Gurong." Chapter 160, The Ninth Order Soul Guide of the Tianyou Empire. Found it. This one." Gurong set a book in Ning Rongrong's hands. The title read, The Life of the Tianyou Empire. The Tianyou Empire existed ages ago, so there's only this one volume. It's a translation, so it may differ from the original in places, but it's mostly the same, Gurong explained. "Thank you, Grandpa Bone." Ning Rongrong clutched the book and made to dash out of the library, but her father, Ning Fengji, caught her by the arm and stopped her. "Rongrong, don't leave without explaining." "Oh, Dad, what are you doing?" She rolled her eyes. "What do you need this book for?" "Xiao Ze found something from the Tianyou Empire and wants to learn more about it." "A treasure from 3,000 years ago? What is it?" Ning Fengji froze. 3,000 years was a long time. "It looks like a spirit tool, but I'm not completely sure yet." "Well, tell us about it when you get back. We're curious." The Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School was only a few hundred years old. An empire 3,000 years past was truly ancient. Got it. Ning Rongrong said it casually. Whether she would actually share the details depended entirely on Xiao Ze. She only ever listened to him these days. The next day, Xiao Ze had basically learned to read the Tianyue script. On the cover of the Tiangong Soul Guidance record was a line, "The way of soul guidance is how ordinary iron attains the divine. Engrave the core of soul guidance, draw upon the elemental power of heaven and earth. Even without a mighty spirit, one may pluck sun and moon, shake mountains and rivers." Ancestor Tiangong Chanjizi. It was a famous-sounding dictum. Spirit tools didn't always require a top-tier spirit to unleash devastating power, but the difficulty of making them was extremely high. Spirit tools were crafted by inscribing core arrays onto rare metals or gemstones. The core array was the spirit tool's heart. Inscribing it demanded not only superb technique and concentration, but tremendous practical ability. Whether Old Wang had that combination was an open question. His hands were skilled, but his mental focus and the finer arts might have declined with age. Xiao Ze poured in his spirit power and activated the spirit tool. The book, it slowly opened. The first page was a table of contents. Spirit tools from 1st to 9th rank. He couldn't help but gasp. The Tianyou Empire actually possessed 9th rank spirit tools. That was the equivalent of a spirit tool for a rank 98 Super Douluo. The spirit tools of the Douluo Continent back then were at least on par with those of the Sun-Moon Continent, perhaps even stronger. There's a gap in spirit tool knowledge for some reason, but that's not my problem. My job is to make the Tiangong Soul Guidance record known. A smile spread across his face. He skipped the lower ranks and flipped straight to the 9th rank entries, the pinnacle of Tianyou engineering. Sky Dome Wall, 9th rank defensive spirit tool. silver arm guard inlaid with 9-star gems. When activated, it unfolds into a translucent energy barrier, instantly forming a 3-dimensional protective shield with a 1,000-meter radius, capable of withstanding the full assault of any titled Douluo below rank 98 for 30 seconds. Powerful defensive tool, Xiao Ze murmured. The absolute defense might not be the best, but the coverage, a 1,000-meter radius, is enormous. How many people could that hold? In wartime, that's priceless. Dragon's Wrath Star Annihilation Cannon, 9th rank offensive spirit tool. A dark red giant cannon with a dragon relief coiled around the barrel. Requires 3 people to operate. After charging, it fires an Annihilation Dragon Breath Shell that, upon impact, creates elemental turbulence within a 1,000-meter radius. Anyone with spirit power below rank 90 will have their spirit power dissipated and be unable to use it for a short time. Goodness, that's a true weapon of mass incapacitation, Xiao Ze whispered. It doesn't need to obliterate things. If it strips opponents of their spirit power, it effectively makes spirit masters useless and leaves them open to slaughter. That's terrifying. Forest's Eternal Treasure Instrument, 9th rank auxiliary spirit tool. A floating emerald green cube. It creates a large-scale life synchronization domain, reducing allied spirit power consumption by 40% and accelerating wound healing. The description is brief, but the effect is outrageous, Xiao Ze said, rubbing the edge of the book. Cutting spirit power consumption by 40%. Imagine an army of spirit masters suddenly able to sustain longer combat. That's the king of attrition warfare. The faster healing is just a bonus. Several more 9th rank spirit tools followed, each description more extreme than the last. Though the manufacturing methods were recorded, the instructions were beyond Xiao Ze's current ability. I'll leave the crafting to Old Wang, he decided. He can take on the hard work. He stretched, stepping out of his seclusion. Xiao Ze, you're out. Meng Yuan and Juju King walked in. Haven't they returned yet? No. Did you succeed? Juju King asked. Yes. I've learned the Tianyue characters and read through the Tiangong Soul guidance record. Xiao Ze nodded. What's in it? Meng Yuan asked. All the Tianyue Empire's spirit tool knowledge. Are they powerful? The two of them knew little about spirit tools. Current spirit masters generally didn't. Extremely. Some are outright instruments of war. A few 9th rank spirit tools could even threaten a rank 98 super Douluo. Both of them gasped. That powerful. We'll go over the specifics once Rongrong and the others get back. Xiao Ze put his arms around their waists and sank onto the sofa. They leaned against him, inhaling the familiar scent on his skin. Xiao Ze, you smell nicer than before, Juzu King commented softly. Nice? Xiao Ze sniffed himself, but noticed nothing. Yes, like fresh grass, and a little like Ling Ling's scent. He realized it might be the seed of life. Under the tending of the god of agriculture and Xiao, the seed had already sprouted. It was only a matter of time before it became a sapling. It had taken root successfully. Xiao Ze admired the god of agriculture. When it came to nurturing and growth, there was no better teacher. Xiao Ze, I'm back! I found more about the Tianyue Empire. Ning Rongrong's voice called from the hallway. She and 2 others came in together. Xiao Ze, look, The Life of the Tianyue Empire. This is the only book about the Tianyue Empire that our 7 treasure glazed tile school owns.